जैसे कि लोग इसको अपना एक विचार की तरह इसको लें, इसको अडॉप्ट करें और अपने तरीके से शामिल हो, शरीक हो। तीसरी चीज़ जो कि गांधी का विश्वास था कि जो प्रॉब्लम्स अभी हैं उस समय भी थे जब वो इंडिपेंडेंस के से जूझ रहे थे, और अभी भी वही है। इट इज़ पॉवर्टी, इट इज़ क्लाइमेट चेंज, इट इज़ इनइक्वालिटी, a huge difference between the haves and the have-nots, and these stretch across economic and social realm. You cannot break up the problem into saying आज मैं इकोनॉमिक्स के साथ डील करूँगा, कल मैं सोशल इश्यूज़ के साथ डील करूँगा, परसों मैं कोई और इश्यूज़ को डील करूँगा, क्योंकि ये सारी चीज़ें जुड़ी हुई हैं। और अगर आपको बदलाव लाना है तो आपको इन सारी चीज़ों को एक साथ उनके साथ में जूझना पड़ेगा। So this was a big belief that he had, that you cannot do things sequentially, you can't do it in stages, you have to do it together. And the last, of course, was that solutions cannot be one size fits all. आपने एक इलाके में या एक प्रॉब्लम के लिए आपने एक सोल्यूशन निकाला और आपने बोला कि यही सोल्यूशन दूसरे सोसाइटी में या दूसरे जोग्राफी में काम देगा। तो अगर इस तरह के मॉडल्स, और एक छोटा एक रेफरेंस कर दूं जो रामराज जी ने कहा अबाउट सोशल एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप एंड सोशल अबाउट इम्पैक्ट इन्वेस्टिंग, मोहम्मद यूनुस को अगर आप देखें तो उनका भी एक डेवलपमेंट का मॉडल बहुत अलग है,
बांग्लादेश वाला सर। यस
which is a big belief,
बिल्कुल सर,
that social businesses can actually make a difference.
Social businesses can make actually difference. And my last question to the Ramraj Pai sir, so we talk about so much of impact investing. So do you think, sir, in India that impact investing will take off, because still lot of issues are there? So what are your final comments on this, sir?
I think impact investing should ideally grow. It's growing at its own pace. I think what is important is कि लोग ये समझें कि अगर हम किसी एंटरप्रेन्योर को हेल्प करें तो वो भी एक बहुत बड़ा सोशल एंड डेवलपमेंटल एक फैक्टर है, क्योंकि एंटरप्रेन्योर्स क्रिएट बिजनेसेस एंड बिजनेसेस कैन क्रिएट जॉब्स एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ। सो अगर आप एंटरप्रेन्योर को भी सोच लीजिए, आप एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को लो कॉस्ट लोन दे रहे हो, इंस्टेड ऑफ हिम बोरोइंग एट 18%, आप उनको 5% पे या 3% पे लोन दे रहे हो। It is a huge social service. So social service does not mean that we only have to help poor people and give them food and education. Social service can also mean you support entrepreneurs with low cost funds. It's a very different way of thinking about what is social service or what is it that we can contribute. But as business people and as people who are very much focused on creating some charity, think about a model where you're helping some of these people and giving them funds maybe at a much lower rate, maybe taking a risk on those people is a very good way of thinking about impact investing. So let me end there, sir.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. What a wonderful session. So final takeaways of this panel session, Pai sir said कि combination of returns plus impact should be there. महावीर लुनावत सर ने कहा कि ESG सस्टेनेबल कंपनीज जो है, जो सस्टेनेबिलिटी पे ध्यान दे रही है, वो उनका एक्सपीरियंस कह रहा है कि वहाँ रिटर्न ज़्यादा है, दे आर गिविंग 18 to 20% रिटर्न। पानी सर इज सेइंग दैट वी नीड ए गांधीयन मॉडल ऑफ डेवलपमेंट, मूवमेंट इज रिक्वायर्ड, एंड एज पर राजन सर, ethical values, the core of ethical values will remain same, it will never ever change. So thank you so much, thank you everyone for joining this wonderful session and taking your time out. Thank you so much.
आराध्य के चरणों में कोटि कोटि वंदन। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक ऑल द स्पीकर्स जिन्होंने ये ना हमारा वैल्यूबल टाइम दिया और हमारी ऑडियंस को इससे अच्छा काफ़ी अच्छा डिस्कशन हुआ और काफ़ी कुछ वो टेक अवे लेके जाएंगे। अब हम एक टोकन के तौर पे इनका हम सम्मान करना चाहेंगे। सम्मान के तौर में सबसे पहले मैं यहाँ बुलाना चाहूँगा हमारे नेशनल प्रेसिडेंट पंकज जी ओस्तवाल, हमारे वाइस प्रेसिडेंट मनीष जी कोठारी, तरुणा जी बोहरा, हमारे वेस्ट जोन वाइस प्रेसिडेंट गादिया जी और हमारे TPF मुंबई प्रेसिडेंट राजजी सिंह भी, प्लीज़ आप आगे आइए और सम्मान के क्रम में जुड़ें। और हमारे सेक्रेटरी कमल जी मेहता और विनोद जी, प्लीज़ आप भी आइए। सबसे पहले मैं उनको बुलाना चाहूँगा प्रोफेसर प्रभात जी पानी का आप सम्मान हम करेंगे। आइए विनोद जी, आइए सम्मान। ओमारम अगले क्रम में रामराज जी पाई को मैं आगे बुलाना चाहूँगा। रामराज जी पाई। डॉक्टर मुकुंद जी राजन, प्लीज़ आप आगे आइए। महावीर जी लुणावत जी, प्लीज़ आप आगे आइए। और सर लास्ट नॉट द लीस्ट अनुराग जी, आप भी आइए आगे सर। थैंक यू। वंस अगेन हम वापस सबको धन्यवाद करना चाहेंगे और आपका आभार व्यक्त करना चाहेंगे। ओम आरम।
रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन टू जॉइन अस फॉर लंच। लंच इज राइट साइड में भोजनस्थल है और आपके किट के अंदर भोजन का कूपन भी दिया हुआ है। तो और हम लोग सबसे निवेदन है कि 1:55 पे आप वापस कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल में आ जाइए। हेलो, 2 बजे हम लोग नेक्स्ट सेशन शुरू करेंगे अपना, तो 1:55 पे सबसे निवेदन है, प्लीज कम अगेन इन दिस कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम। थैंक यू। भोजनशाला राइट साइड में है, इधर सामने, और भोजन के कूपन सबकी किट के अंदर दिए हुए हैं। अगर किसी के पास भोजन के कूपन नहीं है तो आप हाँ, भोजनशाला में है प्रशांत जी जैन, उनसे कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं।
Felicitation, sir. And Shanti Lalji, please come. So I would request the participants for a big Om Aram. Manish ji, please join. So now I formally hand over the session to Dr. Narasimhan. Thank you. Thank you very much.
At the outset, our pranams to Charan of Sri Guruji, Acharya ji, and then I will get into the subject. The topic given to us is corporate governance and eternal ethical values. This is a very big subject in itself. When I think of it seriously, I think I feel fairly disturbed about this, because where does the governance, is governance a journey? Is a governance means to an end? And if that is the end, which is the end? What is the end to be achieved? End to be achieved will be eternal ethical values. Eternal ethical values again are difficult to be defined. It's not difficult to put them into a code. It's not difficult to put it in a regulation. But eternal ethical values is something which each one of us understand in our conscience. We understand in our conscience the conflict within each person on whether this behavior will achieve the ethical goal in our lives, in corporate life, professional life, every life that you do, there's always a continuous conflict. Governance also has the same issue. The conflicts come in different ways. For example, I have people from chemical industry, we have people from infrastructure industries, we have people from petroleum who people keep on searching for things below the earth, and we have a consultant. Each one of us have got our own difficulties in terms of dealing with our mother earth, planet earth. Everywhere we have an issue. If you want to dig deep and get more petrol, are we hurting her? What is it we are doing to the environment? How do you protect it? If you want to lay a road which goes to the forests, should we be having that road or not? That we have to answer. You have to have a vaccine or medicine for curing yourself. You may have to do so many things on the chemical side, something recycling, something emission to be controlled, etc. Whether we should produce that medicine or not is a question. Everywhere we have. Even going back to your own day-to-day life, we have got different conflicts. There's always between conscience and behavior. The same thing happens in corporate governance also. The problems are different. Many of these conflicts have been captured by regulations and law. Codifications have been done. Lot of awareness is being created. Whether awareness that we are talking about is reaching all the people who are supposed to take decisions, whether decisions are taken keeping in view the eternal ethical values is a subject that we can't keep on discussing forever, but I don't think we have got a perfect answer. But my job is much easy because we have got galaxy of speakers who have their thorough understanding about what are these ethical values and how to achieve them through the governance code. And I would definitely request you all to be awake and listen to them. It's not easy. Again, a conflict in your own way, having a sumptuous lunch at the same time having here. You had food, have food for thought now. My first question to all my panelists will be that, I would like to request all panelists to react, starting with Savitri, of course, ladies first, is that governance today has transcended the code of governance and regulations, and it is at a much higher pedestal. That's my personal view. Governance is just not following LODR or Companies Act. It's much higher than that. What is your view?
Sure. A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, my sincere thanks to Vinod ji and to the other organizers of the Terapanth Foundation for affording me this opportunity to be here and speaking on a very, very interesting topic which is close to our heart, to all our hearts, I would say. Talking of the governance being at a higher pedestal today, yes, indeed, it is at a higher level as compared to what it was earlier. I would also add that this has happened mainly because of law as we speak today. And I would say mainly and not entirely, because the seeds have already been sown. Like for example, CSR. It's not that organizations were not doing CSR earlier, but now that there is a mandate, there is a conscious look at the percentage. Of course, there have been large companies who have been doing much, much more than the 2% limit. And also, what is important is, as they say, the hand that gives should never really go to measure. But at the same time here, as corporates, you have a responsibility to see as to what you have actually done, as to whether it's just a drop in the ocean or it has led to something far more productive with a multiplier effect. Because it's only the corporates who actually can give back in a manner which will make meaningful difference. So coming back to the basic question, are the codes only compliance or has it traveled beyond compliance? I would say yes, it has certainly traveled beyond compliance. And when you talk in terms of eternal ethical behavior, it's like character of every human being. Character is not something which you say, fine, when I turn 20, I'll do a course on character for 6 months. It's something which is sanskar to all of us. We grow with it. We start manifesting those right from the young age, whether be it in the form of sharing the small 5-star, which is given as 1 bar to a child, or it's in the form of something which is more than 1, where you give 1 because it's in excess. So I think these are small things which we try to inculcate in children from a young age. The corporates have now started manifesting it in terms of their behavior too.
Excellent. Sanskar is a point she's talking, which is not a part of law anyway. Rajendra, your views on the subject.
Thank you, Savitri, for... Hello, am I audible? Not audible? Now audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Savitri, for starting the conversation. I think undisputedly, when we look at the regulatory environment, the regulations over the period of time have become very prescriptive on the governance. We can see, for each and every activity or aspect of the governance, there are detailed regulations, there are detailed guidelines. The disclosures obligation have increased multifold. Last year I was seeing Shivram's annual report that was running into some 600 pages. And you can witness it with the kind of investors which we are, which the industries now have. Against the old traditional, businesses where most of the capital used to be contributed by the promoters, and then there were only the retail shareholder. Now you see the equal participation of the institutional investors. We see the equal participation of the high net worth individuals, and the ownership structures are diverse. People are learning from international experiences, and therefore you can see the globalization of the businesses, globalization of ownership, and therefore this clearly demonstrates that yes, the governance is at a high pedestal now. But the challenge here is, the blind following of the international practices. What we have done is now, in a race to become a better governed country or better governed businesses, we have started westernizing our governance standard. Whatever is happening in the Western world, we are copying that. We see that there is a push to have independent director. We see everywhere there has to be the independent director, or there has to be the committees, or there has to be different disclosures. But at the same time, we have to understand that India had its own culture. We had successfully grown to the level where we are today, even without the governance standard which were existing earlier. The fact that owners, the shareholders or the promoters are the largest stakeholder in the company is being considered in a different context now. We believe that it's only the independent directors who can protect the organization, who can protect the corporates. The owners of the company have equal stake and they are equally accountable, and in my opinion, they have better ability to protect the organization and the interest of various stakeholders. And therefore, there is need for us to think differently and not blindly follow up the governance standard which are being laid down. There is an opportunity for us to think differently. There is an opportunity for us to understand that the values which we had 100 years, 200 years or 50 years from now, were these valid, or did these work well? Can we adopt, can we reinforce those values? That is my 2 cents to you.
Good one. That is the Indian value system, Indian ethos can also be an equally good guiding force for shaping the corporate governance. It's in addition to whatever law is saying. Law is probably imbibing more from the Western culture, but we have our own Indian ethos system which has been proven, which has been working for several of our successful corporates, and therefore can we continue them, is what Mr. Rajendra's view. Now I request Mr. Shivram to say something.
Yeah. To answer in one line, actually, it has evolved and it's at a higher pedestal. The reasons are twofold. One is people have seen benefits out of it actually. Having a good corporate governance, you get benefits. One can relate good governance to a good horoscope. You get a lot of alliances. So what happens when a company does good corporate governance? You will have good customers, good vendors, good employees, and a good time with the regulators also. So that is one. And second is, as Savitri said, yes, regulators have played a big role in this evolution. We have all seen the last 25 years how the governance regulations have changed, whether it's the composition of the board, the independent directors, duties of independent directors, CSR, now ESG, so many things, right? Now one is to be in the company, surviving as a company, you need to be ensuring that regulatory also. What is typically good governance actually? One could say that it could be termed as, taking decisions, the process of taking decisions and implementing, taking care of all the stakeholders. Go back more than 5,000 years in Bhagavad Gita, it is said, Chigurshur Loga Sangraham. Whatever you do, it should be keeping in mind the welfare of the world. What is the world actually? The stakeholders, right? So it has already been said. So, I mean, we need now external laws to be telling us what is good governance. And I feel each one of us, what is said in our scriptures, the Purushartham, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. There is nothing wrong. We heard the Guruji also in the morning actually, nothing wrong in having some work being done actually, karmas being done. Or the profit, all that is fine. But Artha and Kama, which is wealth and desires, should be dharmic. And ultimately all this whatever you are doing should help you to realize yourself. So I would end it over there.
Excellent. And I think he has put it on its head in the sense that governance helps you, and for the sake of benefits that you get out of the good governance, follow good governance is what Shivaram is saying. Excellent. We know your views.
Thank you. So law and ethics were always way different. Law is like a codified law, is enforced by regulations. Ethics are more like internal, self-prone ethics. Ethics have not been documented as a law. Now today law requires you to adopt a code of ethics. But does the law say what would ethics be? Law does not lay down ethical behavior. Ethical behavior is still internal. And to the extent that ethical behavior is internal, it relies on human conscience. It relies on our internal desire to be on the right path. To an extent, ethics can still be therefore subjective. Because a complete objectivity when it comes to ethics is not possible. What I consider as ethical may not be ethical by someone else. So ethics may be little relative, but as long as we are trying to attain, trying to achieve what we consider is ethical behavior, I think we are on the right path. I think I'll keep myself brief with that.
What he's saying is that each one of us who is involved in governance, if we are ethical, ethics will be the automatic outcome. We don't have to really struggle for it. That's a question. Now, most of us are in boardrooms in different ways. We contribute to the board, we participate in the board, we work with the board. The question is, in the first round we have seen that ethics should be a part of sanskar. Governance has been beneficial. We have Indian value systems. If you are ethical personally, ethical behavior outcome is the view generally taken. The point here is, in the boardroom, who are expected to balance diverse interests on the corporate resources. We talk about finance, human resources, patents, goodwill, whatever you talk about. There are multiple demands and multiple stakeholders. Try to satisfy one stakeholder, other stakeholder may get impacted in different ways. How do we balance this? Or is the people who take the decisions in the boardroom are fully aware of the existing conflicts? Are they being fair, ethical in balancing these conflicts between various stakeholders is my next question. My feeling is that if yes, if the board of directors are aware and they try to bring in a balance and ethical balance between all these conflicts, naturally we'll be able to achieve the outcome of ethical governance as well. So I would like to start this question with Vinod first.
Talking about our experience as corporate consultants, if you were to say that companies are completely conversant with or trying to manage conflicts in corporate governance, I think it would be still wrong. Quite a lot of corporate decisions are made to serve the interest of majority shareholders. There is an extent of, let's say, employee participation involved. There's an extent of workman's interest involved. But when you talk about stakeholders include a whole lot of entities. The environment, the earth, the planet is also a very important stakeholder. The pity is that the environment never comes up and complains. You know, we never got a stakeholder in form of planet earth sitting in a company AGM saying you're not doing good for me. So that's exactly, it's the most docile, most silent, however the most important stakeholder. Are companies doing enough, or are the companies taking care of this stakeholder? I think I would say no.
My question was whether board of directors are fully aware of these ethical responsibilities while conducting governance. his view, yes, I think number of companies is consulting and closely looking at so many companies. His view is that yes, they are able to satisfy the needs of shareholder stakeholder, employee stakeholder, but other stakeholders, he has his own questions on whether they are able to manage or not. I'd like to ask Shivaram on this question.
From the board's point of view, actually, Vinodji, I would disagree with you. They are all more than aware of their responsibilities. Yeah, as he said, actually, you have to balance the interest of all the stakeholders. So that's quite important, right? Actually, if you look at a listed company, quarter by quarter, you have to be declaring the results. And everybody, investors, want the results to be better than the earlier quarter. So those pressures are there. So it is now a decision between long-term investment, short-term. So that is one point of it. And second, my experience, 25, 30 years being part of the board, I have seen things changing drastically. Maybe the pressure from the other stakeholders, because everybody has a say and they really stamp that authority, while I'm talking about the financial institutions, the proxy advisors, some of the investors, all of them, no, actually they have some criteria and you have to be complying, otherwise it has its repercussions. So what I'm saying is, what I've seen in the board, maybe in the last 10 years or so, or 5 years or so, any big venture which comes for an approval, the questions are, more than the bottom line. Because in construction and all, there could be chances where you have to displace people, community. So the question is, what are you doing for them? What would you do and ensure that they are not totally out? No? So such are the discussions, which is really nice. Second is, I would again feel actually everything should be the top. The top people need to be showing this all the time. Again, we go back to Bhagavad Gita. Eddad ajarati shreshtaha taddad devadaro janaha. So if whatever the top people does, the others follow. And it even becomes a document, the pramanam. If you go further into that shloka, no, it says it becomes a document and everybody follows. So when I say Shreshtas here, all of us become Shreshta. Whoever as some subordinates, no, as managers, we all have to be doing the right thing. The others, you don't need policies and all, things would happen.
The question was whether while handling these conflicts in the boardroom, whether A, boards are fully aware of these conflicts and ethical way to handle them, and two, do they actually bring in the ethical dimension their decision making is a question. Your views, Rajendra.
I think it depends on what we define governance responsibility. If we believe that complying with the codified law is the governance or the successful discharge of the duty, then probably we will say most of the corporates in India will take the box. We are very good at it. We will ensure that we are 100% compliant and there is no non-compliance, and we will get the confirmation, certification, whatever we need to do, we will get it. When it comes to the qualitative aspect, I agree with my co-panelists that to some extent, this is journey we are yet to achieve. And most importantly on the ethical front. And let me give you an example. Now under the BRSR guideline and ESG guideline, we all have to disclose non-financial information. One of the information is, say for example, disclosure about plastic recycling. We all disclose. We all disclose how much plastic was recycled, and then year on year we will show a growth trend. The information which is missing in the annual report, you will see, is that what is the per unit consumption, whether this is increasing or decreasing. There can be an increasing trend in the plastic recycling, but then we have to understand the fact that there was an overall consumption of plastic which has also grown multifold. Now this information will be missing in most annual report. The same goes for the water, same goes for the electricity, same goes for the energy, same goes for the waste management. This is, as I said, the annual report now runs into 600, 500, 400 pages. Look at any annual report. But you won't be able to conclude whether the organizations were judicious in utilization of natural resources, or there could have been some opportunities for them to be better. So qualitatively, on the ethical standard, they are still on a journey which is yet to be achieved. This is my view, but I think all in all, yes, we are on the right track, and there will be a day when we will be able to say with the hand on our heart that yes, we are ethically better governed in a better positioned company.
A good one. He says that the ethical journey in governance has started, and let's see where we reach. Savitri, your views on the subject.
Sure. I think a lot has already been said by my co-panelists, but let me say that I tend to agree with Shivram. Of course, in India, we always say that the tone is set at the top. And I would say in India, because in India, we generally look at it in terms of Dadaji, Pitaji, when it comes to anything to be followed. That's been our way of doing it. Not to say that the mother is not respected, but all the same. So, given this, is the tone at the top very clear? I would say yes, because whatever be the topic, like say for example, Rajendra mentioned about electricity. Today we talk about alternate forms of electricity and power generation. Of course, India is going to definitely lead in terms of solar energy. One area where the world also has a crying need is in terms of battery cells which will store the energy. That's been the major problem why solar energy has not been used to the same extent. I mean, whatever you produce, you need to use it within a short span. You cannot store it. But the moment we are able to do this, we will be able to use it in a much better way. So are boards talking about this? Are the external directors forcing organizations to look beyond? Do they have a say around the table? Because only if they're going to be able to talk will their views be heard, and only thereafter will they be accepted. So the first is to be able to speak up. Is that happening? I would say yes, in most organizations. Of course, when we started with the concept of independent directors, there were a lot of questions being raised and all that, not to go into those. But what is important is, yes, questions are being asked. Does it mean that there are no outliers? Of course there are outliers, but they would have to go in for self-opt-out. Because unless and until you utilize the resources of everything that is available around you, you will never be able to grow in a positive manner. So ones who are looking at loopholes to grow, their expiry date is written on the wall. As to when is a question. Whether be it in the form of law or in the form of just the first mover advantage, the days are numbered.
Excellent. I mean, she reinforced the thought that journey has begun. Independent directors are asking questions. They are asking questions and they are getting replied. And I think journey has begun definitely. I would like to now come down to a very brass tack kind of a question. Related party transaction is one area where probably governance compromise on ethics happens at a big time. Whether related party transactions are a bad word, should they be completely avoided? Can something be done about it? Or is right thing being done about related party transactions is a question I would like to ask Savitri Madam to start with and all our panels to reply.
As most of you are aware, I learn about processes from the kitchen. Whatever is done by grandmothers and the great grandmothers in the kitchen actually has a lot of management lessons. For example, talk to the oldest member in the family about something which has been kept in some corner in the kitchen, and she would have an answer instantly without even getting up from her seat. That's all about processes and being absolutely hands-on while having delegated effectively and also knowing a lot more about the filing system. Similarly, with respect to other processes, I think an organization, if you reduce it to its base tracks, it has a great resemblance to a joint family form of organization, and all of us in India are exposed to it. We are not basically from unit families. We all like to associate with our chachas, kakas and buas and all others. Now, Talking of related party transactions, I would compare it with doing business with relatives. If you are doing business and you want to give something to one of your relatives who's not related in the same manner with the other partners in the business, what is the duty that you owe to others? For all you know, they may all agree, but you owe a duty to disclose, be completely transparent about it, to prove your character and integrity. After you've done that and laid your cards on your table, if the others have accepted, there's nothing wrong in having this transaction. If I were to just extrapolate this to a corporate example, I would say that if there is any possibility of anyone raising a finger of having dealt with a party who otherwise seems to have a conflict of interest, and you've transparently clarified as to why you've gone to this party and there is no reason for the transaction not to happen, what you have done is absolutely fair. It meets the test of Caesar's wife, and there's nothing wrong in doing it. Of course, there's nothing wrong in having a related party transaction. What is important is you need to subject it to a higher level of scrutiny so as to be able to say that what you're doing is absolutely fair and right, not only in your own eyes, but in the eyes of others also.
Very well said. Nothing wrong in doing RPT, but it has to be subjected to higher scrutiny, and you should be satisfied that there's nothing wrong happening. You made adequate disclosures. Rajendra, your views on that?
You know, to understand the concept of related party, I'll take you to pre-2013 era. In 1956, Companies Act 1956, there was no concept of related party under the Act. It was only 297 and 298, which was conflict of interest. The related party transaction was Accounting Standard 18, which only required disclosure. In that time, there was a fine difference between related party transactions and related party transactions having conflict of interest. The transactions which have conflict of interest required scrutiny, approvals to the extent of approval from the central government. That was the level of control at that time we had provided. The related party transactions which did not have any conflict of interest required only a disclosure in the annual report. Come 2013, we got confused. We adopted the concept of Western world and then mixed with our understanding, we merged both the concept into related party transaction. Now, whether it has a conflict of interest or no conflict of interest, it has to pass through the same test. I think we need to correct the understanding, common understanding, where it is felt that related party transactions are bad. Imagine Reliance, sorry Savitri, I have to take your example. Reliance employees are using a telecom service which is other than Jio. How would, as a consumer, how would as a stakeholder, you will see this action? Do we expect Reliance, Reliance Industries employee or stakeholder to go to any other telecom service provider and take the services? Is that the expectation? Why it is bad? In fact, that is a strength that Reliance has some businesses which complement to each other. Look at Tata's. If Tata Motor purchased steel from Tata Steel, this is a strength or a weakness of Tata? Should it be seen negatively? No. Tata Motor is buying steel from Tata Steel, therefore it should not be done. It is a related party transaction. So whole concept of related party transaction, which was an interdependence between the group entities of the conglomerate and which was the strength of an organization, all of a sudden is being seen as a negative concept now. We need to correct it. We need to understand the difference between related party transaction and conflict of interest. In my opinion, related party transactions are not bad. These are the strengths of an organization. What need to be governed is conflict of interest that has to go through some scrutiny, some standards of compliances, some standard of disclosures, but that does not mean that these are the bad transactions. And right now, look at the rules which are being formed, just to demonstrate that India as a regulator has zero tolerance on related party transaction. They have laid down voluminous regulation which has only increased the administrative burdens on the corporates. Did it really help the organization? Did it really help in addressing the challenge? And let me give you an example. The whole related party knew this regulation 23 in SEBI regulation was notified just because there were certain examples that the promoters or some of the people at the listed entity level has siphoned the fund through subsidiary company. Let me tell you, even today, the law does not require listed entities audit committee approval if the promoter siphon the fund through subsidiary company. The flow still continues. So what did we achieve? We just achieved the perception that we are stringent on the related party transaction without addressing the problem. Thank you.
Well said. Related party transactions are not bad. They require higher scrutiny, better conflict management. The second word, last word for you.
No, I completely agree with my co-panel members. To add to it, it's a very good word actually, related party. I'll tell you, just look from a conglomerates thing. I'm more so in a conglomerate, right? Why do they make subsidiaries? There'll be a reason for subsidiaries, otherwise the same company could have done all the business. So you do it for a couple of reasons. One is the specialization of the domain. So you make, and I'll take Larsen & Toubro's case itself. We have subsidiaries which are domain specialized in turbine, boiler, forgings, defense, and many of these have a joint venture. Now how the business goes actually, one of the companies, and internationally, because of those POEM, the law, etc., they want the local subsidiary to be engaging with this customer. The moment the local, subsidiary doesn't have the capacity, so if they engage, they have to be subcontracting the work backwards. And if the main company gets a contract, it will be going to the subsidiaries who have the skills. So that is a model. But now what, as he said, no, actually with the new laws which has come in, it has come for a specific reason. There would have been cases. Now the regulator is trying to plug everything by bringing a legislation. What has happened over here is, if you get a big order and you need to be, assume that you get a 5,000 crore order, you need to be giving it to a couple of your subsidiaries which is more than 1,000 crore. You can have that work started only after the approval of the shareholders, because the related party transaction beyond 1,000 crore needs the shareholders' approval. What is happening over here? Just because it's a listed company, your competitiveness is going to go for a toss because you have to give all the details while you go to the shareholders. This is not applicable for private companies when they do. And second thing is, do you expect your customers to be giving you such leeway? No, I mean, these are the things, but we are all, actually it came 2 years back and now we are all complying and we are changing. Actually we find ways, not bad ways, we go for omnibus approval. And when we talk to the senior people in SEBI, what they say is they are more interested in knowing the party and not the details of your transaction. Which means, if it is one of your subsidiaries, then we are not worried actually how you give the details, it's fine. You can give an omnibus, the big amount, all that is fine. But if it is some individual, we would be going. So they are only to know, but for that small knowledge, the amount of administrative work which the company has to be doing, no, it is enormous. So it's never a bad word. You need to, and I'll tell you something which works in our audit committee, very interesting. We have all stalwarts in our audit committee, including the ex-SEBI chairperson. So whole lot of things go for RPT approval. I always wonder how can they ensure that this is on arm's length, ordinary course of business. Beautifully, Damodaran has put some criteria actually. We'll ask only 3 or 4 questions. Is there any new party here? Is the transaction different? All 2 or 3 questions and he gets all the answers. And if there is any new party or a new transaction, the committee goes deep into it. And otherwise it's trust. The trust has to be there everywhere. Because if you try to take somebody's trust out, it will be only done once actually. The next time you won't get that opportunity. So with all this, no, I think related party, the way it is seen today, it's a wrong word. Might have some companies which would have done something wrong. I think one should go behind them and correct it over there and not change the law.
I think very well said. RPT is a strength. RPT is not a bad word. Because of some people's bad behavior, this kind of rules have been brought in. I leave this forum with a great satisfaction that governance journey towards ethical achievements has begun. Awareness is growing, and the sanskar and Indian ethos will probably, over a period of time, rule over this governance towards better ethics. At the end, I would like to thank on my behalf of my panel members, to Vinod and the Terapanth Professional Forum for giving us an opportunity. And I will end this with a pranams to Sri Charan of Acharya Ji.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajendra.
Thanks,
Thank you very much to the esteemed panelists. So Acharya Shri Mahacharno ji, Shaman ji ke charno mein vandan. So no, when it comes to compliances, we are there, but when it comes to bringing in ethics, we are still kind of on the journey. I am sure the esteemed panelist has touched upon a lot of points which we need to start thinking about. The questioning have started, the boardroom discussions have changed, and I'm sure with this questioning coming in, a lot of things will change. I'm sure everyone have seen the ad of Apple where Mother Earth has started questioning now. So that is very important. So the tone at the top has started changing, and as they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and we have taken the step. So thank you very much to the esteemed panelists. Thank you.
Vande Munivaram. Vande Munivaram. Hello. Hello. परम श्रद्धेय आचार्य श्री महाशमन जी के चरणों में वंदन। विराजित मुनि श्री मोहित कुमार जी स्वामी के चरणों में वंदन। मुनि श्री मोहित कुमार जी, he is born in Kolkata and he took Diksha under Acharya Shri Tulsi almost 50 years back. He has been the main in managing the Ahimsa Yatra detailings, which was commenced by Acharya Shri Mahapragya ji. Mohit Kumar ji is having a good knowledge on Kavya Part. He is very good in Jivan Vigyan, Preksha Dhyan and many other things. आज मुनिश्री हमें एक भारतीय साधना पद्धति के मंत्रों का स्थान अपने आप में विशिष्ट है और मंत्रों का अपना एक विज्ञान है। इस विज्ञान को जानने समझने के लिए हमें एकाग्र होना होगा। मंत्रों के अनेक स्वरूप हैं जिनमें बीज मंत्रों का अपना एक अनुभव प्रभुत्व है। इसे जानने के लिए हमारे मध्य मुनिश्री मोहित कुमार जी अपने प्रभावी प्रबोध्य से हम सबको आंतरिक शक्ति जगाने का आधार बनेगा। निवेदन में मुनिश्री से निवेदन करता हूं कि हमें बीज मंत्र की ओर अपना नॉलेज शेयर करें। थैंक यू।
समणस्य भगवो महावीर। आराध्य के चरणों में वंदन। समुपस्थित तेरापंथ प्रोफेशनल फोरम के अधिकारियों, सदस्यों एवं महानुभावों, हमारा जीवन एक शक्ति का पुंज है, लेकिन उस शक्ति से हम अपरिचित हैं। कुछ तत्व ऐसे होते हैं जिससे उस शक्ति का बोध किया जा सकता है कि मुझ में शक्ति है, सामर्थ्य है, पावर है। अभी जिस विषय पर हम चर्चा करने जा रहे हैं वह विषय है हमारे जीवन में बीज मंत्रों की उपयोगिता। यों चित्त की एकाग्रता का अनेक साधन रहते हैं, लेकिन उन साधनों में सबसे सरल, सीधा और प्रभावी साधन है जप। और उस जप के साथ भी यदि बीज मंत्रों का योग बनता है तो वे बीज मंत्र उस जप की शक्ति को और ज़्यादा प्रभावित कर देता है और ज़्यादा उसे उपयोगी बना देता है। जिन बीज मंत्रों के माध्यम से हम शक्ति को अर्जित कर सकते हैं वे बीज मंत्र अनेक हैं। केवल शब्दों का समवाय ही बीज मंत्र नहीं हुआ करता, उस बीज मंत्र के शब्दों के समवाय के साथ, यानी शब्दों की एकाग्रता, एकजुटता के साथ उसकी जो तरंग है, उसका जो पावर है, वह पावर अपने आप में कुछ वैशिष्टता लिए हुए होता है। हम बहुत बार सुनते हैं गुरुओं के मुखारविंद से, साधु साध्वियों के मुखारविंद से, ओम ह्रीं नमो अरहंताणम। ये शब्द नहीं है, इस शब्द के पीछे एक तरंगित दुनिया है, वाइब्रेशन। शब्द के साथ यदि वाइब्रेशन जुड़ता है तो उस वाइब्रेशन का जो महत्व है वह है बीज मंत्रों की शक्ति का आधार। बीज मंत्र एक शब्द जो आम पूरे ब्रह्मांड में संलिखित है और वह है ओम। ओम का उच्चारण तो सभी करते हैं, लेकिन उस ओम के उच्चारण के साथ उसकी तरंग, उसकी वेवलेंथ, उसका पावर वो किस प्रकार से है वो हमें देखना है। मैं बहुत लंबा बोलने के उस स्थिति के साथ नहीं जुड़ रहा हूँ, अति संक्षेप में मैं अपनी बात को प्रस्तुत करूं, और वह है जिस किसी का भी मस्तिष्क थोड़ा सा विचलित हो गया है, थोड़ा सा डिस्टर्बेंस हो गया है उसके मस्तिष्क में, कहीं उसके पावर में कहीं कमी आ गई है, आप ओम के उच्चारण को 2 मिनट 3 मिनट कर लें, आपके भीतर जो मस्तिष्कीय पावर है वह पावर आ जाएगा। और उसके लिए बहुत लंबा ओम की उच्चारण की ज़रूरत नहीं, बहुत छोटे ओम की उच्चारण की ज़रूरत नहीं। एक तरंग, एक वेवलेंथ हमारी होनी चाहिए, उस क्रम के साथ हम अपने आप को जोड़ते हैं। आइए मैं आपको केवल संभाषण ही नहीं, प्रयोग के साथ भी जोड़ना चाहता हूँ। सावधान, रीढ़ की हड्डी कमर सीधी। जिस किसी को इस प्रकार की साधना से जुड़ना है, इस शक्तियों का उपयोग करना है, इस शक्ति को अपने आप में समाहित करना है, उसके लिए आपकी रीढ़ की हड्डी, कमर, गर्दन, आंखें कोमलता के साथ बंद वैसा होना चाहिए। केवल आप एक कुछ क्षण मेरे साथ सुन लीजिए, उसके बाद आप स्वयं उच्चारण कीजिए। ओम 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 प्रकार से उच्चारण और तरंग यदि हमारे साथ जुड़ेगी तो आपकी मन की एकाग्रता, मस्तिष्क की एकाग्रता, माइंड सेट जिसको हम कहते हैं, आप कहीं किसी वर्क में लगे हुए हैं और आपका माइंड सेट नहीं है, आपका डिसीजन पावर सही नहीं आ रहा है, या आप क्या डिसीजन करना चाहते हैं वह आपके लिए थोड़ा सा विचलन का कारण बन रहा है, डिस्टर्बेंस बन रहा है, उसके लिए आप 1 मिनट इस प्रकार का उच्चारण संवाद कर लें। मस्तिष्की तंत्र में एक नया प्रभाव आएगा, नया अलग से शक्ति जागेगी और शक्ति से आपका डिसीजन पावर और अच्छा हो जाएगा। ये हुआ प्रणव बीज मंत्र, इसे कहते हैं। ओम का जो उच्चारण है वह प्रणव बीज मंत्र के साथ जुड़ता। हमारे जैन परंपरा में ये हुआ, पूरे ब्रह्मांड के साथ जुड़ा हुआ। जैन परंपरा में एक शक्ति का मंत्र है जिसे कहते हैं रिम। रिम है ऋकार, ई की मात्रा बड़ी और ऊपर अनुस्वार, ये उसका आलेखन है रिम। ये रिम का जो उच्चारण है वह भी अपने आप में शक्ति को प्रतीक देने वाला है, शक्ति को सहारा देने वाला है, और हमारे भीतर का जो इंट्यूशन पावर है वह इंट्यूशन पावर आपको और अधिक ऊर्जस्वित कर लेगा और अधिक आपको अपने आप में शक्तिशाली बना देगा। उसके उच्चारण के लिए भी हमें कुछ उन तरंगों को जीना होगा जिन तरंगों से हम अपने आप को प्रभावित कर सकते हैं। जब इन तरंगों से हम जिएंगे तो हमारा कॉन्शस माइंड और अनकॉन्शस माइंड, ये दोनों माइंड प्रभावित होंगे। हमारे चैतन्य साइकिक सेंटर हैं वे प्रभावित होंगे, और वे प्रभावित होंगे तो हमारे भीतर की जो शक्ति है वह शक्ति का जागरण होगा, और हमारे भीतर एक आभा का एक ऐसा प्रकटीकरण होगा जिस आभा से आप अपने आप को स्वयं को भावित कर सकते हैं और आसपास के वातावरण को, आसपास के परिवेश को आप प्रभावित कर सकते हैं। पर उसके लिए कुछ क्षण आपको एकाग्र हो करके और उन्हीं भावों के साथ जीने का प्रयास करना होगा। मंत्र कोई शब्द नहीं होता, शब्द के साथ उसका जो संविधिकरण है वह संविधिकरण उसके प्रभाव को सहस्त्र गुणित करता है। और यह सहस्त्र गुणा करने का मतलब है कि आप अपने आप में इतने शक्तिशाली हो गए कि सामने वाला स्वयं अपने आप से प्रभावित होगा, आपके आभा मंडल से, आपके ओरा से प्रभावित होगा। और जब ओरा से प्रभावित होगा तो इसका मतलब है कि आपके भीतर वह शक्ति जाग गई जिस शक्ति से आप अपने प्रभाव को, आप अपने परिवेश को और ज़्यादा शक्तिशाली बना देते हैं। उसके लिए भी मंत्र का उच्चारण कैसे करें, क्योंकि समय की सीमा के साथ मैं अपने आप को जोड़ना चाहता हूं, और वह है सान रिम रिम रिम। आप आंख बंद करके इस ध्वनि को आप पकड़ने का प्रयास करें, आप इस तरंग को पकड़ने का प्रयास करें। आपके भीतर एक नई जागरणा, अब तक आप बैठे बैठे कुछ सुन रहे थे, लेकिन सुनने से भी ज़्यादा आपको और ज़्यादा शक्ति मिलेगी, और वह है रिम 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 ह्रीं 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 ह्रीं। इस प्रकार की तरंगें आपको एक नई ऊर्जा, नई शक्ति और नए सौभाग्य को प्रदान करने वाली हैं। सब बीज मंत्रों का अपना अपना महत्व होता है। एक बीज मंत्र जो पूरे ब्रह्मांड के साथ जुड़ करके हमें उस शक्ति से प्रभावित करता है और हम उस शक्ति को दूसरों तक प्रभावित करने में अपने आप को जोड़ देते हैं। दूसरा मंत्र जो है वह स्वयं की शक्ति से, स्वयं की आत्मभाव से, स्वयं के सौभाग्य से और स्वयं की प्रकृति से और स्वयं की चेतना को जागृत करने का आधार बना सकते हैं। एक बीज मंत्र और आता है और वह है स्त्री। स्त्री के ऊपर इम की मात्रा यानी मात्रा का मतलब अनुस्वार। ये अनुस्वार जो है वो पूरे ब्रह्मांड में एक अपनी तरंग अलग ही छोड़ता है। स्त्रीं ये है क्या? ये लक्ष्मीदायक, ये लज्जा का संवाहक, ये सौंदर्य का प्रतीक, आंतरिक प्रतिभा को विकसित करने का एक बहुत बड़ा आधार ये बीज मंत्र है स्त्रीं। हम स्त्रीं को साथ में जोड़ते हैं ओम ह्रीं श्रीं नमः। इन सबको नमस्कार। और वह नमस्कार किसके लिए? कि वह शक्ति हमारे भीतर प्रभावकता को पैदा कर सके। हम उस प्रभाव के साथ स्वयं की शक्ति का जागरण कर सकें। और स्वयं शक्ति की जागरण करने के लिए हमारे शास्त्रों में कहा गया है मणि, मंत्र और औषधि, ये तीन का प्रभाव जो होता है वह अचिंत्य प्रभाव होता है। मणि और औषधि का प्रभाव पदार्थ के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है, लेकिन मंत्र का प्रभाव अपनी आत्मा के साथ, अपनी सौल के साथ, अपनी चेतना के साथ, अपने अवचेतन के साथ और उसके साथ साथ जुड़ा हुआ है। वह तत्व, जिस तत्व के माध्यम से हम अपने प्रभाव को दूसरों तक प्रभावित कर सकते हैं और दूसरों के प्रभाव को हम कैसे आत्मसात कर सकते हैं, ये दोनों शक्तियां हमारे भीतर जागृत हो जाती हैं। और उसके साथ यदि ये शक्तियां हमारे भीतर प्रकट हो गई तो हमारी प्रसन्नता का कोई पार नहीं रहेगा। हमारे जीवन में इस प्रकार की प्रसन्नता आ जाएगी जिस प्रसन्नता को हम न पैसों से खरीद सकते हैं, न संसाधनों से हम उस प्रसन्नता को अपने आप में जी सकते हैं। वह आंतरिक प्रसन्नता होती है। वह प्रसन्नता हमारे जीवन के साथ जुड़ करके और हम अपने आप में एक अत्यंत आनंद की अनुभूति अपने आप में इतने प्रभावशाली बन जाएंगे जिन बीज मंत्रों के प्रभाव से हम अपने आप को जोड़ना चाहते हैं। मंत्रों का प्रभाव न केवल शरीर पर ही होता, शरीर, मन, वाणी और भावना, इन चारों पर इसका जो प्रभाव पड़ता है वह प्रभाव अपने आप में कुछ वैशिष्टता लिए हुए होता। यह प्रभाव जब शरीर की स्वस्थता इन मंत्रों के माध्यम से हम अपनी शक्ति को जागृत करते हुए हम विजातीय तत्वों को, फॉरेन मैटर जो हमारे भीतर हैं, उस फॉरेन मैटर को भी हम निकाल सकते हैं और निकाल करके स्वस्थता की अनुभूति कर सकते हैं। हर आदमी स्वस्थ होना चाहता है। उस स्वस्थता के लिए हम इन बीज मंत्रों का योग अपने आप जोड़ने का प्रयास करें और प्रतिदिन यदि 5 मिनट इस प्रकार का प्रयोग आप करते हैं तो आपकी मन की प्रसन्नता, आपकी शरीर की स्वस्थता, आपकी भावात्मक चेतना की जागृति और उसके साथ साथ वाणी की प्रभावकता निश्चित रूप से आपको प्रभावित करेगी। लेकिन एक दिन के लिए नहीं, ये निरंतर इस क्रम को यदि हम अपने आप के साथ जोड़ लेंगे तो ये कहना चाहिए कि हम उन बीज मंत्रों की उपयोगिता को न केवल शब्दों से समझने का प्रयास करें अपितु उनके प्रयोग से हम अपने आप को भावित करने का प्रयास करें। ये कोई प्रभाव, ये मंत्रों का प्रभाव किसी दूसरे के माध्यम से नहीं हो सकता। हम स्वयं अपने माध्यम से उस मंत्रों को हम अपने आप में आत्मसात कर सकते हैं। ये सहज सरल प्रयोग और इन प्रयोग के माध्यम से हम अपनी चेतना को स्थिर कर सकते हैं। चेतना की अस्थिरता, शरीर की अस्थिरता, भावना की अस्थिरता, मानसिक अस्थिरता, मानसिक स्थिर यदि बनना है तो आपको इन मंत्रों का प्रयोग करना होगा। और इन बीज मंत्रों को जोड़ करके हम किसी भी मंत्र के साथ, चाहे अरहत को जोड़ें, चाहे सिद्ध को जोड़ें, आचार्य को जोड़ें, उपाध्याय को जोड़ें, साधु को जोड़ें, किसी को भी जोड़ करके हम अपने आप में उस तरंग, उस शक्ति का प्रादुर्भाव कर सकते हैं, उस शक्ति को जगा सकते हैं। ग्रहों का प्रभाव हर व्यक्ति के जीवन पर होता, लेकिन वे ग्रह यदि हमारे भीतर, हमारे पास बीज मंत्रों की शक्ति है तो वे ग्रह हमारे कुछ नहीं बिगाड़ सकते। हम उन ग्रहों को भी उन मंत्रों के माध्यम से उसकी शक्ति को हम निरसित करके और स्वयं में शक्तिशाली, और जो व्यक्ति स्वयं शक्तिशाली होता है वह व्यक्ति किसी से घबराता नहीं, डरता नहीं, और वह स्वयं शक्तिशाली बन करके और उन मंत्रों के प्रयोग के माध्यम से, उन मंत्रों की शक्ति के जागरण के माध्यम से वह अपने सूक्ष्म शरीर, वाइटल एनर्जी, उसको भी जागृत कर सकता है। और वह एनर्जी हमारी इतनी प्रभावित हो जाती है जिससे कि हम अपने आप में हम कुछ प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। बीज मंत्रों की दृष्टि से अनेक मंत्र ऐसे हैं जिन मंत्रों के माध्यम से हम अपने स्थूल शरीर को प्रभावित कर सकते हैं, सूक्ष्म शरीर को प्रभावित कर सकते हैं, और वह सूक्ष्म शरीर हमारे जीवन के साथ जुड़ करके जो कर्म शरीर और जो हमारे भीतर वाइटल एनर्जी है उस एनर्जी को भी और जागृत कर सकते हैं। इन्हीं भावों के साथ में आचार्यों ने बहुत कुछ कहा है। मंत्र के लिए, मंत्रों की साधना के लिए हम अपने आप को भावित करना चाहते हैं, अपने आसपास परिवेश को भावित करना चाहते हैं, उसके लिए वह निमित्त कारण, और वह निमित्त कारण बनेंगे बीज मंत्रों का जागरण। बीज मंत्रों का प्रयोग यदि हम करेंगे तो हमारे जीवन के साथ हम एक ऐसी स्वस्थता की, ऐसी स्वस्थ मानसिकता का निर्माण कर सकेंगे जो मानसिकता हमारे जीवन के साथ जुड़ करके हम अपने आप की उस शारीरिक, मानसिक, भावनात्मक चेतना को जागृत करते हुए अपने आप में कुछ नवीनता प्राप्त कर सकेंगे और अपनी प्रभावकता को और ज़्यादा समृद्ध बना सकेंगे। इन्हीं भावनाओं के साथ मैं अपनी बात को यहीं संपन्न कर रहा हूँ। ओम अरहम, ओम अरहम, ओम अरहम।
हेलो बनते मुनिश्री के प्रति अंतर्मन से कृतज्ञता। आपने बीज मंत्र का उपयोगिता हम सबको समझाई। जप और बीज मंत्र द्वारा कैसे हम अपने आप को प्रभावित करते हैं और शक्ति का संचार करते हैं, ये आपने बताया। अपने आप को एवं अपने आंतरिक स्वभाव से दूसरे को कैसे प्रभावित कर सकते हैं हम, और अपने आप को कैसे प्रसन्नता अर्जित कर पाएंगे इस बीज मंत्र द्वारा, ये आपने हमें मार्गदर्शन दिया। इसके लिए बहुत बहुत कृतज्ञता। ओम अरहम।
कृतज्ञोष्मि, कृतज्ञोष्मि, कृतज्ञोष्मि।
पंते परम पूज्य गुरुदेव के चरणों में वंदन। प्रमुखा श्री जी, मुख्यमणि, साध्वी वर्या आदि सभी विराजित चारित्र आत्माओं के चरणों में वंदन। यहाँ अभी पधार रहे सप्ता प्रभा और उनके सहवर्ती साध्वी के चरणों में वंदन। Good afternoon, everybody. We already had 2 power packs. We already had 2 power pack sessions and a bit of spiritual sessions prior. Now, we would love to have a practical meditation session for all of us to help relax and be active also together. So, we have right now Sadhvi Samta Prabhaji with us, who will be conducting a practical meditation session for us. But before we start, and before I request her to start, I would like to introduce Sadhvi Samta Prabhaji to you all. Sadhvi Samta Prabhaji was initiated as a Sadhvi 7 years back. Earlier, she had been into Shamni ji. She had been a Shamni for 17 years. While she was a Shamni, she had travelled worldwide to US, UK, Australia, Dubai, as well as Japan. In Dubai, at the Florida University, International University, she has been a professor in the religious department for 3 years. She also designed a personality development course, which is called a Preksha Life Skill course, which is a certified course by Jain Vishwa Bharati. She had developed this course in association with Shamni Vinay Pragya ji, and she has translated many books written by Acharya Mahapragya ji, including Manage Your Emotions, which we have included in the kit. So please do read that book. And she now conducts a regular meditation class for the ladies at Anukampa Bhavan. And now I request her to start a practical demonstration session for us.
आराध्य के चरणों में अभिवंदना, उपस्थित भाइयों और बहनों. So all of you are ready for meditation. It's going to be a boosting session because you will gain energy after doing meditation. So before that, I would like to suggest all of you to be focused and concentrated and try to be with yourself. Then only you can feel energy from within yourself. Otherwise, you just close your eyes and your mind is roaming here and there. You are not going to get anything out of it. So I request all of you to use and utilize your time, whatever time we'll do, up to 15 minutes. Okay. So we have 15 minutes and a small package I would like to give you, because in this stressful era, everyone is going through stress. Not only physical stress, mental as well as emotional stress. So it's a small package to release all these 3 stresses, but you have to be with me. Try to follow my suggestions. If this meditation is in English, is that okay with all of you? Okay. In this meditation, what we are going to do is, just for 2-3 minutes, we'll relax our body. After that, we'll practice deep breathing. Deep breathing with that feeling that you are inhaling positive cosmic energy, and while releasing, we are going to release physical, mental, and emotional stress in different ways. So while practicing deep breathing, you imagine that there is an empty box in front of you, and literally you are releasing all your physical stress through your exhalations and throwing in that box. Did you get me? So in that way, we also do mental stress and emotional stress. So we'll start now because we have only short time. All of you are ready? First, would like to appreciate all of you. Though there is matches going on, but still few people are here, and I truly appreciate all of you. So try to be with yourself. Relax. Select a comfortable meditational posture. Eyes are softly closed. Relax your body, relax your mind. Loosen your muscles. Try to be with yourself. Complete concentration. Be aware of your inner consciousness, inner energy channels. Spread your mind throughout the body, from feet up to the head. Give out a suggestion to every single part of your body to relax, relax, relax. Experience that your body is getting relaxed. Use deep and deep concentration. Remain alert. Now experience that your whole body has become completely relaxed, relaxed, relaxed. There is no pain, no stress, no tension anywhere in your body. It is completely relaxed. Experience the lightness of your body. Now we'll move to the next step. You imagine there is an empty box in front of you. Practice deep breathing. Inhale fully. Exhale completely. Inhaling, your abdominal muscles are expanding, while exhaling, they are contracting. Total concentration on your breathing. Your conscious mind is totally with your practice. Now you experience that while inhaling, you are inhaling cosmic positive energy. Positive energy is spreading throughout your body, mind, and soul. While exhaling, you just release all your physical stress. Whatever pain, physical problems you are going through, just release. Take them out through your exhalation and throw them in that box. Just literally visualize as a black energy, you are throwing all your physical problems. Be resolute, be with yourself. You really seek to be healthy, Then release all your physical problems. Literally you visualize all your physical stress and problems are coming out and dumping in that box. Continue with the inhalation of positive cosmic energy. Inhale positive cosmic energy. You feel that it's spreading throughout your body, mind and soul. Now, with your intention, you release all your mental stress, negative thoughts, destructive thoughts, any overloaded thoughts, unnecessary informations, which stop you from your progress, from your growth. You don't want all those unnecessary thoughts. You just release them through your exhalation. Throw in that box. Visualize all your mental stress are coming out through your exhalation. Don't flow with other thoughts. Be focused. You are doing mindful action. It will lead you to your working efficiency, positive energy, and will lead you to success. Physically, you feel relaxed. Mentally, you feel relaxed. You have released all your mental baggages, overloaded information. Feel the peaceful state of your mind. Continue with inhalation of positive cosmic energy. Inhale positive cosmic energy. Experience it is spreading throughout your body, mind, and soul. Try to get into the deeper level of your consciousness. Try to reach to your emotional world. Release all your emotional stress. Be it I, mine, ego, anger, cheating, deceptiveness, cunningness, or any negative emotions which bother you a lot, which create commotion in your daily routine, daily life. You release all those burdens through your exhalation. Throw them in that box. Literally you visualize all your emotional stress are releasing. You just dump them in that box. You feel relaxed physically, mentally, as well as emotionally. You just imagine, you experience and visualize that box got filled with all your stresses. Now, we'll practice Mahapran Dhwani for 5 times. While practicing this sound, you just push that box and experience it's going far away from you. Very far, maybe the reaching at the other corner of universe. So let's practice Mahapran Dhwani. You breathe in, while breathing out, produce the sound. Push the box. Silence. The box is not with you anymore. It has reached at the other corner of universe. There is a deep valley. You dump that box in valley and experience that box got turned into ash. You feel energetic. Now we'll come back and focus at the middle of your forehead. Experience inner silence, inner peace, tranquility, inner bliss. Middle of your forehead, that is center of enlightenment. You give positive affirmation and try to send your message to your subconscious mind. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm positive. I'm positive. I'm positive. I'm successful. I'm successful. I'm successful. I'm happy, healthy, positive, and successful. These are not only the words. Get connected with the feeling of all this affirmation and literally feel that I am energetic, I am happy. But you are doing good job, great job. I'm sure you have connected with your inner consciousness. Now we'll conclude session. Take 2 or 3 deep and long breaths while experiencing energetic, happy and healthy. With a big smile, conclude meditation. You can open your eyes. Om Arham, Om Arham. If anyone have any question or is everything is fine. So I might a suggestion or request that if you just spend 15 minutes and if you set this 15 minutes your daily routine, I'm sure you will be able to release all your stresses on day-to-day basis. Nobody wants to carry that baggage, isn't? Or all of you want to? No one. So it's a very scientific technique and proven with so many people. They have done this practice and they become so confident and achieved success in their fields, whatever field they are doing. And even if you practice, you can also achieve success in every walk of your life. This is what my suggestions to all of you. Set 15 minutes in a daily routine. Om Arham. Sorry, any question? You have any question?
What is the proper time to do this meditation?
If you can do in the morning time, it's the best time, because early in the morning our brain is so fresh, it secretes more serotonin. It will help you to be positive throughout the day with that practice. So morning if you can do, it's best, or otherwise and before going to bed also you can do that. Whenever you are fresh, but there should be gap in between meals.
Any more questions?
Vande, what is the ideal duration of the meditation? And should we fall asleep after meditation, or we should keep awake after meditation?
I won't suggest you to sleep,
because you said bedtime.
Awakened state is always good.
Yeah.
But so many people, they take pills because they go through insomnia and all, say they take pills. But for them, meditation is good, ideal technique to do, and after that they can go to sleep instead of taking those pills. But ideal time, if for the beginners, 15 to 20 minutes is enough. And anybody, they are practitioner, they can at least go through half an hour or 1 hour at least. So because at least if you don't practice for half an hour or 1 hour, you won't realize. 2 years back, I met one girl from Hyderabad. She said that, why do you suggest people to do just meditation for 15 minutes? Tell them to do for at least 45 minutes. If they don't do, they just do 15 minutes and they come to you, I don't feel anything, I don't get any result out of it, then it's not worth. So tell them to do for at least 45 minutes, then only they can connect with them. Otherwise what happens, initially we try to start meditation, that time our mind is so wavering and we flow into our thoughts. At least 10-15 minutes, after 10-15 minutes, body becomes slow down, mind also gets calm, then we can get deeper into the meditations level. So at least 45 minutes is ideal time, I can say that. But for beginners, they can start with 15 to 20 minutes. Any question?
प्रणाम।
Okay.
मैं ये जानना चाह रहा था
हाँ।
कि श्वासोच्छ्वास पे ध्यान देने के बाद जैसे मन शांत होता है तो नींद जैसी आने लग जाती है, तो उस स्थिति में जागरूकता कैसे बनाए रखें?
श्वासोच्छ्वास के साथ में तो हमारा रेजोल्यूशन होना चाहिए, संकल्प बल के साथ में, कि जब आप ध्यान कर रहे हो तो उससे पहले संकल्प करें कि जितने टाइम मैं ध्यान कर रहा हूँ मैं पूरी जागरूकता पूर्वक करूँगा। क्योंकि जो ये भावक क्रिया का जो एक सेशन है, इसके मूल 3 उद्देश्य है कि हर समय जागरूक रहे, प्रेजेंट मोमेंट में रहे और जो भी करें वो जानते हुए करें। तो तीनों एक्शन, आप श्वास प्रेक्षा करें तो जानते हुए करेंगे तो नींद नहीं आएगी। जब आप थॉट्स में बह जाएंगे तो वहाँ नींद या मूर्छा आने की संभावना हो सकती है। तो पहले संकल्प करके करें कि मुझे इतनी देर तक पूरी जागरूकता के साथ इसका अभ्यास करना है। एनी क्वेश्चन? सॉरी,
मैं कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करता हूँ साधी जी के प्रति कि she has delivered a relaxation session to TPF family. I think everybody enjoy and understand the thing of the meditation. सबको अच्छा लगा, रिलैक्सेशन लगा। मैं सबके प्रति कृतज्ञ, आपके प्रति कृतज्ञ ज्ञापित करता हूँ TPF मुंबई की ओर से, TPF इंडिया की ओर से। और इसके बाद में जैसे साधी जी ने रिलैक्सेशन का आपको मंत्र सिखाया, पीछे आपके लिए रिलैक्सेशन का सेशन रखा हुआ है एक 15 मिनट का। 4 o'clock वापस यहीं पे सेशन चालू हो जाएगा, 3rd सेशन। सबको यही पधारना है। ओम हरम।
कृतिज्ञोस्मि।
कृतिज्ञोस्मि। कृतिज्ञोस्मि। कृतिज्ञोस्मि।
who is the founder and chairman of DHC. He is not just a chartered accountant, he is a constant achiever. And why do I say so is that he has been a rank holder throughout his career. So he is not just a chartered accountant, but he is a constant achiever. He was a gold medalist and a chartered accountant. He was topper in his school days. He topped in this college. So throughout his career, he was constant rank holder. And more so, I'm really inspired by you, sir, that you have started DHC, which is taking chartered accountancy practice to another level. And with this, can we have a round of applause for Mr. Desai? The next speaker we have with us is Mr. Ajay Agarwal, who is the President Finance Strategy Tax of Vedanta Group. Now mind you, he again is a chartered accountant, and prior to joining Vedanta, he was partner at KPMG. He will share his idea in terms of, how, because he has seen both the world of being into the practice and now on the other side of the advisory or being into the corporate world. Apart from that, he is heading, he's currently, as I said, the Senior Vice President of Finance in Vedanta Resources Limited. Over the years, he has assisted transitional organizations and leading Indian enterprises across sectors on finance, operations, strategy, treasury, audit, regulatory, tax, and other financial matters. Of course, with a good expertise in his domain, I request Mr. Ajay ji to come forward and take the dice. The sound of your clap would be even more higher, as now I call one of the youngest chartered accountant and a very dynamic leader in becoming, who is following his father's legacy, Mr. Piyush Sajed, who is not just a chartered accountant but has an expertise in income tax and litigation matters. He is into the Central Council of ICI, serving all the top committees, be it examination, finance, and other regulatory bodies. He has his contribution in few of the publications of ICI, be it charitable trust or other income tax matters. With this, I call upon young leader, Mr. Piyush Shahjed on the dais. We have one more speaker on the dais, Mr. TP Oswal, who is the leading tax practitioner and senior partner at TP Oswal and Associate. He has been named as one of the top 50 tax professionals in the world for the year 2006 and 7 by Tax Business Magazine of UK in November 2006. He is the ex-vice chairman of IFA Netherlands. He is the ex-chairman of International Fiscal Association India branch. He was a member of Emerging Issues Tax Force set up by the Ministry of Finance, Government of India, for recommending the measures to Government of India on non-resident taxation issues related to international taxation. He will join us in next 5 minutes. Over to you, Piyush Shahjed, to take this up, the issues on the income tax side and the other taxation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mudit. Very well, good afternoon to all of you. Jai Jinendra, Jai Gurudev. Mudit, एक चीज भूल गया कि I am also a fellow member of Terapanth Professional Forum. That's the one of the most, I think so you should have introduced me like that. Anyways, I would congratulate the organizers for organizing this wonderful committee. And when I came here, I was wondering, I asked him कि आज इंडिया पाकिस्तान मैच है, आज का आपने डे कैसे चूज किया? So people would be watching their scores on the TV. But luckily, India is not batting, so it's one of the relax which I could say कि जब इंडिया की बैटिंग आएगी तब देखेंगे. Very nice topic chosen, obviously. Are the laws ready for total compliance? And at the time when we are reading in the newspapers, month on month, the collections of the government are going up. Now, why the collections are going up, really? Is it because the compliances have increased? Are the businessmen more complying nowadays? Or the, if I would say, the tax evasion ho raha tha, whether that has been stopped? Or really there is actually buoyancy in the economic activity and not the compliance levels remain same? For that we have a very wonderful panel today. Obviously, we have Dilip Bhai Desai, who is in practicing with DHC. He has changed the way profession looks at after taking over. Generally, we have seen alliances happening in our chartered accountant firms over a period with the Big Four. But he started taking over chartered accountant practice, I think so 6 years, 7 years back, when he took over Hari Bhakti and Company, which was one of the leading firm in Mumbai. He hails originally from Calcutta, and he took over a firm, a very big firm in Mumbai. And the way he has changed how the profession has to be looked into it. हम सोचते थे कि whether the profession would be ever get valued. Valuation is only for the businesses, for startups, but it's not that. He has changed that thought process. Even the firms are to be valued. The professional practices are to be valued. And you can look into a value for that, and he has paid for that, and he has actually increased the same. The third panelist, TP Oswal, has joined. I would request him to please join the stage. Please welcome, sir. Yes, sir. Then I am joined by Ajay Agarwal ji. As you know, he is heading President Finance and his taxation of the strategy from the Vedanta Group, brings enormous of the experience. He has been already introduced. Enormous experience in taxations in the corporate world, having an exposure to the various tax laws in the various countries, and we will be looking forward to him also. We are just now joined by TP Ostwal. I think so most of you would be known. He is known for his expertise in international taxation. He has been doing very well as far as when it comes to international taxation, even at the institute level. If anybody has to think that who can speak on international taxation, only one word comes, one name comes, that is TP Oswal. So I welcome you, all of you. Thank you very much for spending your time to all the panelists. Thank you. So before we go up, I'll just start with now the panels. I've divided into a certain questions, which I've divided amongst all the panelists, which I would ask to individual panelists. If anybody of that, on that question, if somebody wants to add up, I would be most welcome. Please do add that. So I will start with Dilip Desai ji. Dilip ji, India has seen a tax rate, what I have been told is, coming from 97.5%. और मैं मारवाड़ी फैमिली से आया हूँ तो मैं ऐसा सुनता था तभी, I have also heard कि या तो टैक्स भरो या तो बेटी की शादी करो, दोनों नहीं हो सकती. It's very difficult at that moment of time. That was the word which people used to speak, because if I am paying 98% tax, and from 98% we have troubled a lot basically. So considering the situation from 98% to a peak rate of 25, 30 or maybe 35% when I talk of corporate tax, do you think businessmen should be now truthful in paying taxes or they should be ethical? Would they be, or have they traveled that way, the way the tax rates have actually traveled in an inverse proportion? Dilip.
Thank you, Piyush, and very good afternoon. Is my voice audible? Yeah. Very good afternoon to everybody. In fact, I really commend the delegates present here, because howsoever interesting these deliberations are going to be, they are not going to be more interesting than India-Pakistan match. I am told people have booked their residence in Uber and they have come to see the match, and raat mein Uber mein soenge and then they will go back. So that is the level. Despite that match, the fact that you all are here is indeed commendable. It shows your commitment to the profession and to the cause. And coming to the point of deliberation, yes, there was a time when the maximum marginal rate was 97.5. Today, we have tax rate which is much lower. The question is, should business and businesses be now ethical? So this question has two assumptions, that in past or so far businesses have been unethical. Now, are they unethical? And they are now expected to be ethical. So I would first take a pause and ask that, have businesses been unethical? And is it fair that a general assumption is made that businesses are unethical? This is foremost, important thing when we are looking at the ethical environment. And ethical environment does not have business as the only constituent. Government, business, and the professionals are three constituents. Why we question only businesses? I have my highest respect for everybody in the government. But time and again a question, does it not come to your mind that is government ethical? So we are looking at a scenario where, the perspective has to be much larger, I would say. That we are fortunate to be living in an age where in next 1 or 2 decades we are going to see our country going to unparalleled heights. Okay. Now, when we go to that unparalleled height, and if we really want to go there, it is very important that there should be environment conducive to that growth. And that requires complete empowerment of business rather than questioning of business. I would suggest possibly that this is a question that should business be ethical. The question is that why can't we create an environment where businesses would find it to be non-profitable to be unethical? Let them worry only about their benefits. Can we create an environment where they say, boss, it is not beneficial to be unethical? So yesterday I was with one of the promoters of a company whose market cap is more than 1 lakh crore. Okay. And we were discussing about various aspects. One of them included tax also. So after half an hour of discussion, what we concluded was that if a business plans his tax, so tax plan karne ke liye maybe they would be booking some expenses, maybe not that the wrong expense, but something which is capex can be booked as a revenue expenditure, something which may be a non-charge could be shown as a charge, some deduction could be done. So as a result, maybe the profits could be reduced. Okay.
Now by reducing profit by 1 rupee, okay, you save tax of 30 paisa or maybe 25 paisa or 17, 18 paisa depending upon which tax regime you are. So you save that 17 to 25 paisa, very good. But a reduction of profit of 1 rupee reduces the company's market cap by 100 rupees. Now what is more profitable? You know, जिसके साथ आप बात करते हो, you have to talk their language. अपने उनको एथिक्स की बात बोलते हैं तो बोले व्याख्यान में हम आ जाएंगे, इधर तो काम की बात करो. So we have to talk his business, you know. So in business, is it more advantageous to you to have 100 rupees or more advantageous to have 17 to 25 paisa? No further discussion was required. Okay. So ethical should be a part, environment should be a part of the overall, you know, scenario, and that is where I would say, while the answer to your question is yes always, not that in past they were not today, yesterday, today, tomorrow they should be ethical, and those who are not ethical, it is their short-sightedness. Okay. But the larger aspect that, you know, we as a professional, we need to bring to the fore is that government has to play a big role in creating the conducive environment. Today we have the biggest lawyer like Mr. Harish Salve, you would have heard his name, is one of the best lawyers in the world today. Okay. He appeared before Supreme Court few months back and said that Lordship, the way in which the regulators are conducting themselves in this country in the recent period, no Indian businessman would like to stay in India. They are shit scared. Okay. An environment of huge scare is created. This is not the situation where you expect a reciprocation. Okay. Now, there are provisions which are coming. Very often they are one-sided despite the logic and rationale being the other way around. Again, not the right environment. Okay. There are approaches. Today you see so many, you know, enforcement directorate raids or CBI raids or income tax raids are happening. And I do not know if you have seen or faced any of them or represented any of your clients. And you would see that when they come, आपको लगेगा इनसे तो यमदूत अच्छे होते हैं. They create, that's their job. So they create a terror. But the question is that before ethics, there is one thing called trust and fairness. Okay. Now, you have a job to do a surprise visit. What is search? Search or survey is a surprise visit. So that आपको पता नहीं चले, they will come to your place and they will find something which you otherwise would not have given. Why you need to be so arrogant? Why you need to be so rude? Why you need to create such an environment? There are 5 people. One person will be taken in one room. His statement is taken. Another person in another room. Third person in third room. And the first person will be told that the second person has confessed. If you don't confess, you will be jailed. Actually, the second person has not. Is there any law which says that this would be banned? Okay. And if this is done, action would be taken. This is unethical. It is not happening. And the businesses are getting questioned. Are you ethical? Are you unethical? So I would very humbly put to the house the aspect that, you know, we professionals have a much larger responsibility, that all constituents, and 3 major constituents are businesses, professionals and government. They have to jointly make the best endeavor to create an ethical environment, and if that is done, I can tell you that it can be discussed with businesses that it is not profitable to be unethical, and then our problem is solved. I think other panelists.
Yeah, very well said, sir. Dilipji. I think so. We have made a point that by giving an example of market cap, that if you are actually a tax compliant, then obviously your business also drives value to it. That was which I was in fact coming to it, which you have answered it. But you have raised a very valid point, is that government also have to give a conducive environment. And just that takes me to Ajayji. Ajayji, how would you compare a compliance situation or the tax rate situation globally when compared to India? Does it really makes it difficult to comply in India when you compare it to the global scenario? What would be your take on that?
So first of all, let me acknowledge that in this kind of setup, I have never spoken. So big thank you to Terapanth Professional Forum to invite me and give me an opportunity to speak in front of this august audience. So really appreciate that. Coming back to your question, and I will really first supplement what Dilip Bhai was talking about. You know, in nutshell, he talked about powers, right? When you interrogate an individual or a taxpayer in one room and other people in another room, there is a saying, we would have all, watched that movie called Spider-Man, that power corrupts people, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So this is exactly the environment will be, till the time you don't create a corridor where both taxpayers as well as the tax department walk the same lane. If you make a mistake, I pay for it. If I make a mistake, you pay for it. Unless and until this kind of situation is created in the tax provisions, okay, I have not offered a particular income, you are asking me to pay penalty, it's fine. I will give interest, I will give penalty. You have alleged something on me that I have concealed something, and I go through this entire rigmarole up to the Supreme Court, I win. Does tax department loses anything? Nothing. So therefore the corridor is one-sided. It is a one-way traffic. Anyone can come and ride on you. You will not have any recourse. Unless and until the recourse is developed, it will be quite tough. Coming back to your question on, Vedanta, as most of you know, it's a global conglomerate. We have presence all over the world. Many may not know, we do have factory in US as well. We were once listed in London Stock Exchange. We were listed in US through our ADR route. And of course, we are listed both in NSE as well as BSE. Also, before joining Vedanta, I had the opportunity to represent India in the US, to bring various global investors to India to invest in India, and likewise various business houses in India have invested and continue to invest overseas. Their experience have been very different when it comes to matured countries like the US or the UK, parts of Europe, some bit in Australia. However, their experience in some of the countries have been, equally worse. For example, South Africa. For example, Brazil. Clearly, you can make out that there is a definition called developed nation, underdeveloped and developing nation. So while the nation is developing, you will continue to see, everything, whether it is a transaction between two related party to unrelated party, international transaction, domestic transaction, through the lenses of corruption, through the lenses that kuch mein kuch na kuch to gadbad hai. The second part, I have observed globally that there is a significant respect to judiciary. Even though our law is quite codified, both under the direct taxes, indirect taxes, plus in the constitution, that if a particular issue has been decided by my superior, what is the definition of superior here? If a tribunal has decided a particular issue, right, CITA is bound to follow that judgment. Likewise, if a high court has decided, a tribunal can follow, and likewise the chain will follow. Here is quite the opposite. Because you are not being penalized. Again, I will come back to the story of two-way traffic. Till the time you don't penalize a person by wasting national asset like, tribunal, high court, Supreme Court, plus, professionals' time, it will not be worthy. Finally, some statistics suggest that if a matter has been decided by a Supreme Court of the US, even the district court do not want to entertain those cases. Most of the time, those cases have been regarded as, Bible. And people follow those cases and they respect those cases, they implement those cases, they take positions in their tax return while doing their books of accounts, basis the Bible. Whereas in India is slightly difficult. It is evolving. I'm not completely pessimistic that nothing will happen in India, but it is evolving, and hopefully things will change as we go along.
Thank you very much, Ajay ji. Who would like to add? Mr. Ajay, want to? Yes, please.
Yeah, what Dilip suggested and said that it's a one proverb which is said about compliance. Palkhiwala used to always say, people get the government they deserve and the government get the people they deserve. So it is either way. If you say, are we unethical, the other side also should be seen, and we rightly explained. And there was a time, as you rightly said, we had 97.75% tax in 77. And over and above that, 5% wealth tax. Literally, you have to sell your holdings to pay the tax. Literally, nothing is available in your hands. So people used to manipulate. One of the doctor friend of mine, because we saw those regimes, he said that it is better to spend the money and claim expenses rather than paying 97.75% tax and save 25. So I would go luxuriously by travel and spend the money. Leave aside. So what is the point which he has made out is absolutely correct. Today's world, it is totally different. If you want an investment coming in from the public, you need to show, window dress your balance sheet. Without there being profit, people are showing profits and paying taxes. Because then they can get valuation of their company. Initial startups, initial companies, what is happening is that today. So therefore, are they ethical or unethical? They are ethical because we are more than ethical. We are paying more taxes than required. So these are all subjective terms. I think we need not debate on this subject.
Yes. I'll just take it to Oswalji again. As you said, we have come from 97.5 to 25. I'll also take an indirect tax rate also. I would like to have your views, and Ajay ji also. Is still tax higher when you compare to globally over here? Is tax still higher?
Direct or indirect?
Direct tax, I think so. If indirect tax, Ajay ji can add.
See, now when you look at the global scenario and Indian taxation, India's tax rates on companies are very high. Indian tax rates on individuals are also very high. The government has been trying to create new categories of companies' taxation rate, and we have taken some steps. We have a 15% tax concept, which is if the manufacturing starts before 31st March 2024 of a new industrial undertaking. I think this is most competitive rate in terms of global. If this rate is adopted universally across the table, then you don't need to go abroad. People are becoming all non-resident, there is a flying of the high net worth individuals abroad. Why? Because of one is the draconian tax laws. Second is, apart from the tax laws, the administration of the tax law is very bad. And Ajay rightly said that despite the fact we have a Supreme Court decision, we don't follow here. And the best example is the Brazil example. If the tribunal has given the decision, there is no further appeal. It is written in the constitution. The second appeals are not required to be followed.
Okay.
Therefore, people follow those respectfully. And our officers know how to distinguish even Supreme Court decision. So these are the problems. And as far as individuals are concerned, I therefore say our rate of tax on companies is say 35% plus surcharge and education set. In my opinion, it is little on the higher side as compared to most of the developed countries, where the rate of tax generally is found to be 30% or 25%, not more than that. But we have a concept of double taxation. Payment of dividend is also further subject to tax, which world of the number of countries except USA, we are following the same system like USA, but number of European countries don't tax that. Second thing, individual taxation. When it comes to individual, we are saying that now 42.75% was the rate of tax, which in 2023 budget we have brought it down. If you follow new regime, so 39%. When you follow new regime, you have all exemptions and deductions are gone. Is it fair? You are setting up new industry. You have been age-old following the now individuals, for example, you want to follow new regime, you will lose all exemption. Your payment of donations will not be deductible expenditure. Your savings, which you have been claiming deduction, for example, PPF or LIC, all old contracts, you have been paying those. There is no grandfathering. Everything is subject to disallowance, except, of course, in a smaller category of taxpayers, it will not be beneficial to go also to the new regime. So arbitrage is available. But high net worth taxpayers, 39% tax. What is so great? World over, the tax rate is not more than 30%, but there are cases where the tax rates are higher. Some countries like in Sweden, etc. is 50%. But you are getting quid pro quo. Government is doing some social security. Government is providing infrastructural facilities. Government is providing medical, education free. What is there here in this country? Nothing. So you pay the tax just for the sake of love and affection? Then yes, then good objective.
Yes. Yeah. Once again, yes. Ajay ji is just joining. I'll take your delivery.
No, I think you asked the question, our tax rates are higher or not?
Both sides, maybe direct and
from
indirect
a
tax.
direct and indirect tax perspective. I clearly believe that our taxes are significantly higher because the way we compute tax, particularly, Otswalji mentioned about 39% tax. Practically, nothing is available as deduction. If you look at 60% of the total tax collection comes from personal taxes and more so, obviously, from a salaried in class. They hardly get any deduction. Now, why this, discrimination? Partnership firm is paying taxes at the rate of 35, this particular 33%. Individuals are paying sometimes 42, 43. Corporates, new manufacturing company is going to pay 15%. I don't understand. I'll end up paying tax more than 30%, whereas the new corporate manufacturing entity is paying 15% tax, plus it gets all the deduction which I don't get. I think the fundamental issue is the tax base. In Japan, close to about 70% population pays taxes, right? There is hardly basic exemption. That's the cost of civilization which each of us have to pay. Unless and until the political, issue is been deleted from the mindset of the, both bureaucrats as well as politicians, till the time you increase the base from 4.5, 5 crore taxpayers to 50 crore taxpayers, you will continue to have that challenge. Insofar as indirect taxes are concerned, absolutely hands down, it is extremely expensive in India to do business from an indirect tax point of view. I'll give you two statistics, probably you will understand why I'm making that statement. If you look at the entire Middle East, on an average, the VAT or GST, whatever, the rate is around 5%. In the US, there is nothing called GST, it's all VAT, right? There are some states, there is no VAT. For example, Florida, right? There are some states where are only 5% tax. And it's the developed nation. They don't have significant manufacturing. It's completely outsourcing, right? They are paying tax at the rate of 5%, 7%. California being the highest, there the VAT rate is only 13%. Now, I don't know what is great in India that I buy Mercedes, I pay 50% tax. I don't understand. You don't give me, national highway like the US or the Europe. But you take 50%, say that it is sin tax. I don't understand this. I wear churchy shoes. I pay 20,000 rupees for the shoes, but I still walk in this kachara only. You're not cleaning this, you're not cleaning the road for me. I am paying the taxes. I don't mind paying the taxes. I am happy to pay taxes, like Utpalji mentioned about the quid pro quo. Bhaiya, kuch to dikhna chahiye na. Samne se kuch milta nahi. There is no social security, there is no social protection. I was part of the US team, like I was saying, during the, financial crisis. A lot of people lost their job, but none of them lost their sleep. Imagine what happened in COVID in India, and likewise what happened in Europe, Australia, Canada, as well as in the US. Everybody may have, lot of people might have lost job, but nobody lost sleep in those countries. US paid $2,200 per month to people who are below poverty line or people who are contributing significantly to the social security, right? Here I am also contributing, my friend. 39% tax. And if I lose my job, there is no insurance. Forget about any social security. Nobody is going to send atta to my house. You know, I have to deal with it. So there is significant dichotomy. There is a significant, gap which needs to be filled up.
So invariably taxes are high, both sides, direct tax and taxation. That may be the main, could be one of the reasons for the non-compliances or evasion, whatever. Yes, Dilip, you wanted to say something.
So basically, our country is a part of the global village. So it is certainly important for us to see that how does our tax rate and tax system compare with the other global economies. And as I think Ajay very rightly said, that you don't need to go too far, you just look around in your neighborhood and what are the VAT or the GST rates which are there, and what for you are paying 3 times. Maybe the tax which government is taking, it is GST, one would say it is indirect tax, you collect and pay. In my belief, this is not an indirect tax, because the customer is buying a product from me. So he says what is the price they are paying for the product. Okay. From that price, more than 50% of my profit is going as GST. And in return, what Ajay asked the question was very pertinent. What am I getting compared to the other developed economies? One. Another aspect which is very important, that while we need to look at the global scenarios, coming to income tax, our Income Tax Act is a multinational conglomerate. I hope you are aware. So we have, let's say, the block depreciation. It's a complete Canadian import. This book profit tax or MAT is an American import. Okay. GAR again is an European import. So we have many sections which have come from, we are very fond of, all European, American, all economies. Udhar kya hota hai? Let's do that. Okay. And that helps to enhance the revenue. But we forget our DNAs, that the best jurisprudence on tax is contained in our literature, our epics. Centuries back, Kautilya had said, Chanakya, the most brilliant person on the Arthashastra that we have seen, he said government should levy tax the way a honeybee collects from the flower, the honey and makes the honey without damaging the flower, without hurting the flower in any way, and still it creates a product which is invaluable. Now this is told in our literature, but we don't use those philosophies. We go to Canada, we go to America, we go to Europe, and we import the provisions that how we can enhance the revenue. But if we follow Kautilya's principle, and as Ajay said that first of all, we make it with a quid pro quo, and we make it in a conducive environment, the collection can increase like anything without higher rates. So that's something which is extremely important.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, sir.
How many what is our population?
140 crores.
How many taxpayers?
6 crores roughly.
7 crores.
7 crores.
How many salaried taxpayers? 4 crores.
4 crores.
How many other taxpayers offering the income of 250,000 or up to 7 lakh exempted?
Around 2 crores and 2.5 crores.
No, 3 crores.
3 crores who are not paying any taxes. They are just filing
the
returns.
Rest of them are in the bracket of 1 crore plus.
Right.
How many people pay tax on an income above 1 crore? Only 100,000. 1 lakh people.
Right, sir.
They pay 95% of the income tax of the country. And we are troubling them. We want to tax them.
So there is a lot of scope for the income tax department to increase the tax base. Obviously, I know. And therefore, the laws needs to be tweaked to ensure a total compliance. That's what the theme is all about. Just taking a clue that we are borrowing a lot of things from the foreign locations. So, Oswalji, what do you think something new coming in a force, considering the global scenario, which my members should be worried of or should think about it?
Well, those who are international operators, they have to worry. Those who are local players, they don't have to worry about what laws are coming up and this and that. For example, OECD is now talking about Pillar 1, Pillar 2. What they are supposed to worry about are certain things which I'll tell you. So therefore, we don't have to worry about what Pillar 1, Pillar 2 is happening. In this audience, I believe. But there could be somebody who is like Vedanta, who is operating world over, then they have to worry about it. But you see, the question is, we have draconian laws in our country like Black Money Act. Now, if you have got unfortunately or fortunately opened a bank account abroad, or you have got, suppose in a family somebody has become non-resident, he was studying abroad, he opened a bank account abroad, and that he forgot to close that account and came back and started doing business with the father, and he became resident in India, and his returns are getting filed regularly. And in that bank account abroad, let's assume he has kept around $10,000 mistakenly, which remain. And all sources are remittance from India, fully disclosed. Now Black Money Act says this is the money on which you have not filed your return of income in Schedule FA. Because you have been able to prove source of income, we will not tax that income, but we will levy penalty. Penalty of how much? 10 lakh rupees per annum. Now what is the value of your undisclosed value? $10,000 equivalent to 8 lakh of rupees. Now if 8 lakhs of rupees is the value and 9 years you have not filed your return, for example 2015 the law came in and up to 2023 you have not, because you were studying abroad, 90 lakhs rupees pay penalty.
So there's no reasonableness.
So no, that is one. So therefore one has to be careful about such situation in the families. When you are going abroad, don't open the account. If you have opened, please close and come. Now assume while you were abroad, you opened an account. In between you got married. So you ask your wife to join the account because you are not sure what will happen to that account in case something goes wrong with me. My wife should be able to operate. So she is added as joint signatory. Nothing else. She has not operated the account throughout. You are lucky enough that you have been only handling and the wife is just accepting what you are doing. Now, because wife is a signatory to that account, she has also not disclosed in the return of income. It is mandatory for her to file, even if she has no income, she has to file the return of income. And she has to state in Schedule FA, I am a signatory to this bank account of my husband. Having not disclosed, the penalty is equal amount 90 lakhs of rupees for doing nothing. So is it fair? Totally unfair. We have decisions from the tribunal confirming the penalties and in some cases rejecting the penalty levy. But honestly speaking, these are the laws which are created in the country. Now this example, which is very simple to understand, people go abroad, multinational companies, they work. Suppose somebody goes in Vedanta UK and Vedanta ultimately international company decides to give ESOP to their all employees who were working abroad also, an Indian. And that person has now come back to India because he is holding shares of that company which is listed abroad. And that he has failed to disclose in the Schedule FA. And this is a rampant. We are getting cases every day, two, three cases. Employees sector, we always believe that the TDS is done by employer and therefore they don't have to bother. Now, if you are holding foreign security and not disclosed in your return of income, straightway penalty. And that penalty quantum, I say 10 lakhs of rupees per annum. And on this sector, I said this law was created in 2015. We were very generous in giving immunity for 3 months. If you have got any assets abroad, please disclose. If you do not disclose, we will rigorously implement the law. World over, people were giving immunity very liberally. Indonesia collected $286 billion on account of immunity. Other countries similarly collected few $100 billion. India gave immunity. How much tax we have collected? 2,460 crores. How much amount we have spent on giving advertisement in the newspaper on this Black Money Act? 2,400 crores. And we say that we should follow the law very seriously. This government, you have to enable people to comply the law rather than to ensure that you don't comply the law. There is a provision on the Income Tax Act, section 139(9). No officer uses in such cases. If you have filed your return of income and you have failed to disclose certain asset which has come to the notice of the tax officer, he should give you a notice to cure the defect. It is a defective return. He should give me a notice and he should tell me what is the defect. I can cure it. When I cure it, then all compliances takes place. So, but nobody issues notices like this. And therefore, in such cases, if the officer has failed to disclose or issue me notice under 139(9), he should be penalized. Rather than the taxpayer should be penalized. So these are the things, in fact, some spirited citizen will have to argue the matters before the court. So these are the problems of this country.
I understand through the law of requirements are there that the still changes in the law should happen. In fact, we at our institute level also, being a central council member and a part of vice chairman of the direct tax committee, we keep on sending the recommendations to the institute. Ostwalji is obviously recommendations for changes in the law. We do keep on sending it. Of course, now I will transgress because a lot of things has been spoken about the unreasonableness as far as when it comes to the abuse of the power. And when the abuse of the power comes to me, I only just recollect and have a rigors of the PMLA Act, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So first I will come to you, Dilip Bhai. Do you think PMLA Act, the way it is today, it has been really used or misused? What would be your take on that?
Do I need to answer?
I think so. Still you can give your perspective.
Basically, again, as TP said very effectively, as TP said, that the way the things are looked into, the way the things are analyzed by the government, by the officers, the spirit and the actual implementation is becoming very, very different. Okay, and PLMA, if you read the provisions and if one interprets them in very literal sense without going to the spirit, it can create a havoc in any transaction and every transaction. And in so many cases we have seen the notices that have come. Okay, we had to in few cases take the matter to the court by way of a writ, and it was seen that recklessly the provisions have been applied, and what is happening is that the criminality, income tax, GST, PLMA, they all get mixed up together. They are putting it together and creating a absolute scenario of terror. So that way again, whether it is PLMA or GAR, or SAR, any of these provisions which are there, it is very important that first of all the implementing agency, the implementing officers are given the training. Now the problem which POEM has created, the provisions, in our days POEM was always the sweet feeling. Kuch kavita sunenge, it will have some good impact. Now POEM for promoters is a terror, place of effective management. So you have a company overseas, you are not taxable in India. But if they prove that the place of effective management is in India, then the entire income would be taxed. Principally, very right provision.
Taxed at a higher rate.
And at a higher rate. Very right provision. But actual implementation, the manner in which it is done, is absolutely unacceptable. So the question is that, the larger aspect in this forum, and we are sitting at a very auspicious place where we have Mahasraman few feet away from us, and the way, he thinks, the way he speaks, the way he acts is something which transforms. So I would possibly suggest this, this great Terapanth Professional Forum to have one more conference and bring only the revenue officers, and Mahasramanji should be sitting here and we all would speak few things. I think that would transform the entire, create the environment to be so better.
Thank you very much. Definitely we will do that. I'm sure organizers are listening to that. Sir, misuse PMLA. Oswaji.
You see, use you forget. It is only misuse. I can without doubt say that. Now question is, let us a simple example. PMLA was introduced in 2005, implemented ultimately in 2013, and the matter 2013 it was approved and implemented in 15. When it was introduced originally, there are only 6 enactments which were covered by PMLA. What was the intention? It was basically to cover, catch hold of drug money, narcotic money, or smuggling, anti-corruption, or some 1 or 2 laws like that, which has nothing to do with the commercial laws. In 2015, the law was amended to include 29 laws in the PMLA, and through the amendments in other legislation, there are also 2 laws which are not still reported as a PMLA covered, but they are similar consequences, that is Section 37A of HEMA and Black Money Act. So therefore you have 31 acts which are covered by PMLA. You are bound fall in some law or the other, and the provisions of the PMLA implemented by Enforcement Directorate, they have been given supreme power, and Supreme Court has confirmed. The powers are all constitutional.
Yes.
So therefore they are above police officer. You don't need to file FIR. They first arrest you and then they will question you, and they are entitled to do that. So therefore anything which is PMLA is a serious and draconian aspect. And everybody now, all chartered accountants and all people who read newspapers know who is caught and who is not caught under the PMLA. If you are anti-government, PMLA is expected to be seen.
You would like to comment upon it, Ajayji?
No, I'll end my comment because it's a cricket fever going on in the country. We all wish India wins today, and a lot of people are compromising India-Pakistan match to listen to all the irrelevant thing. Back in 1983, when India was playing against West Indies, Michael Marshall and Michael Holdings, they were the bowlers. And the batsmen were, Srikanth, then our Gavaskarji, Kapil Dev. If you look at what they were wearing and whom they were facing, right? One of the most draconian bowlers, right? But without gear. If you look at now what Virat Kohli wears and what, KL Rahul wears, all the time they are fully padded from top to bottom. But Kapil Dev never got hurt because of not wearing the right gears, right? Now the rules of the games have changed from 1983 to 2023. You have to be fully geared up, irrespective who the bowler is. Even the spinner is bowling, which is, we understand in this context PMLA, you have to be fully geared up. भैया कुछ भी आएगा, damage अपने को नहीं होना चाहिए. पूरा market में damage हो जाए, लेकिन अपने को, so you have to safeguard yourself. Second thing, again on the cricket context, you have to take a stand. You have to make sure that the wicket is fully guarded. All the time, every time. कहीं से गुगली आके out हो गया तो वो अलग बात है, but unless you take a stand and guard yourself well, you are destined to bowl out. So only you can protect yourself. You can't really think and decide what the other person will do. Other person is determined to take your case. Unless you prepare yourself, you are going to down.
Thank you very much. Very well explained in terms of cricket, which is the flavor of the season. I do appreciate, sir. Flavor of the season, and even today. Very shortly, I will take a very last question, obviously. Any specific advice when it comes to our theme is are taxation laws ready for total compliance? And largely after the discussion, I believe that a lot of tweak is required in the laws if government looks for the better compliances still today. India has a lot of scope for that. What would be your advice to the professionals who are sitting over here? any specific advice, specifically when if you think the thing, ethical values and corporate sustainability. So considering the laws which are in the place in this country today, and we have just been discussing, and the professionals who are sitting over here, and they have to stick to the ethical values obviously. So any specific advice? I'll start from Ajay ji first now.
See, I'll tell you, fundamentals are very, very clear, and I don't have any gray in this. It is either black or white. Don't do too much of innovation. Don't do too much of ideation. We have, I mean, world over plus in India also, a lot of people have done a lot of different ideation and innovation, right? Either the law got amended retrospectively, or the Supreme Court has, we have all seen, how 147 has been recently been treated. And very recently in the cognizant case of buyback, how it has been treated, right? So, don't do any innovation, any ideation. Simple calculation karo, जो provision में लिखा हुआ है, tax pay करो, you will have a very fair, good, nice sleep. We can all good things talk about ethics. The moment you try to do any kind of magic, you are destined to get caught. And now, the superpower has been given to the tax department. They can go back up to 15 years to catch hold of you, right? So kindly don't do any unnecessary innovation if it is not required. Tax rates are quite low in India, 15%. आराम से टैक्स पेमेंट 15% करिए और आराम से जिंदगी जिए.
Right, sir. You rightly said, sir. They are equipped with lot of data also today. So there cannot be any magic done, I believe. You are very right, sir. Oswald, sir.
You see, taking further from what Ajay explained, everything is computerized, everything is digitized. You file your return digitally, you have the faceless assessment, one-way faceless, sorry. They know who are you, they have their all biodata of yours, but you don't have any details of the person who is hearing. And everything is faceless. Now, if these are the laws, and when you have filed your return, your data are captured on an online instant basis, real-time basis, and therefore they are analyzed also. Income Tax Department or Government of India comes to know what is the tendency, what is the trend, what is the analysis, and data analytics is done by private sector software companies and not by the government. And the Larsen Toubro technology is using and doing technology analytics of the Income Tax Department's data. And that is the reason why they come out with circulars explaining these provisions, amendments are being made and all those things are happening. So therefore it is appropriate for anybody and everybody, as rightly said, comply the law properly and don't fall foul of the regulations.
Right.
And if you comply, then there is no problem. And therefore best course is to take proper advice, and of course the chartered accountants are here to advise the clients properly.
Right. Thank you very much. Dilip bhai, last word, sir.
Yeah, I think what Ajay and what TPS said are very apt aspects. I would only add to say that that is possible when the tax rates are the right rates, and government needs to appreciate that the rate which the subject thinks is right is the right rate and not the rate which government thinks is right. Okay, so it has to be something which government has to understand, that what is the rate of tax which the taxpayers are comfortable with. Okay, if that rate is implemented, and we have number of global scenarios available before us, because we are quite fond of adopting them, then let's adopt the good part also. If that is adopted, then we need to have a culture where no innovation, no ideation, pay tax, yes, do innovation, do ideation, but in business, not in tax. Okay, and that is actually very productive for the economy. But the sum total of all the things, coming to the point of ethics, which is the theme of today's deliberation, is that ethics is not desirable. Ethics is profit for business, for government. If this message could be understood, I think that would really solve problems, and I would say that this is a responsibility of the professionals who have edge over the SSCs who have edge over government also. So I think we all professionals have a big responsibility to bring home this concept to the two extreme stakeholders that ethics is profit, and if that is followed, I think we are there.
You rightly said, sir. It's always said ethics is absolute and not relative. I am just taking an example. We are sitting, this is under Terapanth Professional Forum, which is a charitable institution. The way the audit has been designed nowadays for the charitable institutions also, if you look at it from the professional also, it has been advised that you complied very well. So I think so largely the panel is of the view the professional has to comply with the law. They have to advise their clients that yes, you will have to be compliant. If the client is not complying, cost of non-compliance is very high. Thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you very much Dilip ji, Oswal ji and Ajay ji for sparing your valuable time. I would now request Hemant ji to please kindly close the session. Thank you. I think so somebody wants to say. Can we? Yeah.
I can tell you, I understood your question.
Sir, only one point is there, sir. Okay, we all want to comply and all this. But there is an income tax portal or the GST portal or company law portal or that are talking about different thing, and the law black and white talk about different thing. That become another hassle for the everybody. When you are talking about ethical, then how to ethical? The income tax portal or portal of GST, company law all talk about different thing.
But I can still tell you that the compliances are still getting done, and I fully appreciate that, because on a daily basis we are facing this problem. There is a workaround, and one of the workaround is to improve the technology. I can tell you that we have adopted technology like anything. How many times, there are a lot of chartered accountants sitting in this room. In the last 1 year, I don't know how many of you would have visited tax department. Go back 10 years. Every other day I was in the tax department. It's been a while that I have not been. So there are challenges. I can tell you, you can write to MCA for your corporate matter. You can write to TCS.
Ajay,
कुछ नहीं होता है, कुछ
no,
नहीं
Ajay
होता
ji,
है.
in fact, Ajay ji, I'll answer him, because these issues are coming up to the institute day in day out, and members are complaining. Like I'm filing a return. He's right that what act is saying something, but when you do actually comply, 143(1) will come, which is totally against the act. So we have made a grievance cell. We had a bit. I'm addressing it. I'm addressing that. I'm addressing, please. We had a meeting with the CBDT chairman on this particular issue, and we are trying to make a local grievance cell also. But obviously, as you know, as we have been discussing, this will take some time. But even the institute is aware of this matter, and even at the MCA, like when V2 failed, version 2, there was a complete support given by our professionals to see to that it comes properly live. But there are certain teething issues which are more in relation to these systems. But I think so we'll have to come up with that over a period of time.
We should ask Praful, Piyush one question. He is a member of the Direct Tax Committee of the ICAI, and recently the form 10B and 10BB was introduced, and it is impossible for a person to file that form.
Sir,
how many cases, how many queries you have received?
Sir,
and how many have been brought by you to the attention of the CBDT?
That's what I'm telling you. I'll just tell you. On 10B, 10BB, we have just come with a technical guide. And in fact, Oswal Saab was one of the contributors to this technical guide. And this technical guide is a very nice thing. It's a regulatory publication. If you comply with that, no court of law can question you. We had 3 seminars, webinars attended by more than 15,000 people, wherein 500 questions were answered. These are available on the live TV also. My request to you would be, please just look into it. What short point I was trying to make, that even the life is becoming difficult for charitable trusts. Forget businesses. That was our theme. So if the life is difficult for a charitable trust, obviously business cannot think of non-compliance. Cost of non-compliance would be very high. So thank you very much. I will try to end because the other panelists are already there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again, Ajay ji, Oswal ji and Dilip bhai. I request everybody to carry a loud applause. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Piyush bhai has done my job also. But formally, I propose a hearty vote of thanks for our all panelists. They have given their thoughtful views to us, and really they are concerned for the present taxation system in India as well as abroad. I propose all to carry with this loud upload with Om Aram. Thank you. I also request Manish ji, Santilal ji sir, Vikas ji to come for a felicitation of our panelists. Raj ji, Kamal ji, Vandana ji पधारिए. राज जी आप
Hello. So friends, now we are ready with our fourth. Hello friends. Are you ready? So now this is the final session, fourth session, but very challenging, exciting, because now we have everything here. Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, Subham Gill, and you will see all kind of choke chakke here now, because the topic is very much interesting. The topic of this fourth panel is investment funds and the ethical values. And we have today with us one of the top panel speakers of the country. Number one is Nilesh Shah. Nilesh Shah is the managing director of Kotak Mahindra Asset Management Company. He is a gold medalist chartered accountant, and he is always there with us whenever we invite him. So Nilesh Mehta, please be there on the second panelist is Prashant Jain. Prashant Jain is also chartered accountant. He is the co-founder and chief investment officer of CIO of 3P. Earlier he was with SDFC Mutual Fund, and he is the only fund manager in the country who has delivered 20% CAGR over 24 years. That growth is just double of our Sensex. If you have invested 1 lakh in 94 with Prashant Jain, today it would have been around 8 crore rupees. So that SDFC, so that is the reputation Prashant Jain is having. And the third panel speaker is Anup Agarwal. He is also chartered accountant, and at present he is heading International Finance Corporation, a subsidiary of World Bank, and he has done CFA, CS, ICWA, chartered accountant. So with his wide experience of 31 years, we will have some good fit. And the fourth one is Mr. Amit Mehta. He is working with Airline Bangalore Group. He is also chartered accountant, and he manages his family. And earlier he was with Tata Group. He worked with FICCI and ICI in various committees. And the last one is our own Pramod Dangi, who is going to moderate the session. He is also chartered accountant, CFA. He also worked with as a vice president of Unifi Capital. So with these friends, I give this mic to Pramod to start the panel discussion on this very important topic of. Before he starts, we felicitate our guest panel speaker.
Hello.
Hello. With a big Om Aram. Nilesh Saji, प्रशांत जैन, एंड अमित जी मेहता, मेरे को Thank you, and a very warm evening to all the friends. We have a very wonderful panelist, over here, who are one of the best fund managers, private equity managers, and emerging fund management guys. Friends, we all know that capitalism had been accused of driving profitability over the sustainability, but at the same time, socialism actually failed to motivate people to get the best among them. Luckily in India, we have chose a path which is mix of the socialism and capitalism. But disregard of the sustainability also caused a lot of disaster, and we are seeing the ill effect of the not focusing on the sustainability on the natural disasters, on the global warming. And while the countries like India or many countries in the world are now signatory to the sustainability, ESG and net zero emissions over the next few decades. And one thing is very prominent in that is that countries, developing countries like India, with the motto of one nation, one family, one future, is also with the motto of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, is the signatory to the zero emissions ESG, which is a part of the broader ESG. But when you look at the investment world, the core focus has been, and I cannot say anything against that, is to drive the profitability for the investors. I don't know how, while in the world we have seen ESG taking the momentum, and today we have almost $2.5 trillion funds dedicated to the ESG, and we are seeing almost $20-25 billion inflow only in the US in the ESG, which goes up, goes down with that market. But the question is where we are in terms of ESG and the ethical investing in India. And today, while we have all the prominent panelists who have delivered great returns, Mr. Prashant Jain, who have delivered 20% CAGR over the 20 years, Nilesh Shah, who is overlooking that his funds deliver great returns to the investors, and so is Anupji and Amitji for their investors. The question to you both, Jain Saab and Nileshji, is that in going behind the profitability, how the Indian investors or the fund manager industries had seen the ESG, how they are prepared to incorporate the ESG rating in their evaluations, and how they are driving or how they are nudging the investors towards thinking beyond the returns and looking impact on the society in terms of not only the CAGR returns on the investment, but CAGR return on the humanity, CAGR return on your life. So first question to me, Nileshji and Prashantji.
So investors ने ESG को हमेशा से फॉलो किया है. जब टाटा ने अपनी पहली टेक्सटाइल मिल खोली थी नागपुर में, एम्प्रेस मिल करके, तो उन्होंने अपने मजदूर के बच्चों के लिए क्रैश खोला था। वो उस जमाने की सोशल सिस्टम थी, टाटाज आज भी उसे चला रहे हैं। और इसीलिए जब टाटाज पैसा मांगते हैं तो इन्वेस्टर जाके लाइन लगा के दे के आते हैं। सो गवर्नेंस, एनवायरमेंटल, सोशल, ये सारी चीज़ें हम पहले से ही फॉलो कर रहे थे। अब ये स्टैंडर्डाइज हो गई है, डिस्क्लोज होने लगी है, मेजर होने लगी है। थोड़ी हमने भी गलती से सीख ली है। पहले 90 के दशक में गधे और घोड़े दोनों को पैसे दे देते थे, अब सिर्फ घोड़े को ही देते, गधे को देना बंद कर दिया है। और अभी रिसेंटली एक IPO आया था जिसमें अगर आप निवेश करते तो आपके घर पे 7-8% कैश देने की बातें कर रहे थे। गर्व से कह सकता हूँ कि वो IPO इंडियन म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री में निकला ही नहीं। सो एनवायरमेंटल, सोशल, गवर्नेंस हम पहले से अपना चुके हैं, अब उसे मेजर कर रहे हैं, प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं। एंड मेरे हिसाब से आने वाले समय में भी हमें इन चीज़ों का पालन करना पड़ेगा। बट डेफिनेशन किसकी ले? जब तक यूक्रेन युद्ध चालू नहीं हुआ था, कोयला एनवायरमेंटली बुरी चीज़ थी। अब जब जर्मनी को कोयले की ज़रूरत पड़ गई तो उन्होंने कोयले को ESG में से निकाल दिया। सो जैसे विदेशी डेवलप वर्ल्ड अपनी डेफिनेशन यूज़ करते हैं, वैसे हमें भी अपनी डेफिनेशन यूज़ करनी पड़ेगी। सोशल एक बहुत अलग सी चीज़ है। हम इंडिया के पहले म्यूचुअल फंड थे जिसने यूनाइटेड नेशंस ऑफ प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबल इन्वेस्टिंग साइन की थी। तो हम भी ताऊ में आके चले गए थे कंपनी के पास, उन्हें बताया कि सोशली रिस्पॉन्सिबल बनना चाहिए। तो उन्होंने बहुत अच्छी तरह पूछा, नीलेश भाई चाय पियेंगे? तो मैं बोला हाँ चाय पियेंगे, क्यों नहीं? बोलते ऑफिस की डिप वाली चाय क्या पियेंगे, चलो बाहर चलते हैं, नुक्कड़ वाली चाय पिलाता हूँ। गया वहाँ पे एंड तंबी आया चाय लेके, मुश्किल से 12-13 साल का लड़का था। अब हमारी नज़रों में ये चाइल्ड लेबर गिना जाएगा और उसे हमें इनकरेज नहीं करना चाहिए। ये CFO ने मुझे पूछा कि अब पूछो ये तंबी से कि नौकरी क्यों कर रहा है, पढ़ाई क्यों नहीं कर रहा। पता चला तंबी के माता पिता दोनों गुजर चुके थे और छोटे छोटे भाई बहन थे जिसकी वो परवरिश कर रहा था। अब हम ब्लाइंडली सोशल नॉर्म्स अप्लाई करेंगे चाइल्ड लेबर के ऊपर तो तंबी और उसका फैमिली तबाह हो जाएगा। तो हमें अपने डेफिनेशंस यूज़ करने हैं और दूसरों से कुछ अच्छा मिले तो सीखना चाहिए, कोई बुरी बात नहीं है। बट अदरवाइज अपने नॉर्म्स एनवायरमेंटल, सोशल और गवर्नेंस पे अपनाने चाहिए और उसे फॉलो करने चाहिए।
जैन साहब।
नहीं, नीलेश जी ने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से इस विषय को समझाया और मेरा भी कुछ ऐसा ही मानना है। देखिए, जहाँ तक हम इंडिया में इसको देखते हैं तो जहाँ तक गवर्नेंस है इसमें हमने काफ़ी इम्प्रूवमेंट देखा है। जैसे आज से 30-40 साल पहले शेयर बाज़ार में या कैपिटल एलोकेशन में उसमें गवर्नेंस का लेवल बहुत ख़राब था और समय के साथ साथ जैसे इंफॉर्मेशन बढ़ती गई, लॉज टाइट होते गए और तो हमने देखा कि आज कंपनीज़ में मिस गवर्नेंस की जो समस्या थी पहले वो काफ़ी हद तक सॉल्व हो चुकी है। और यहाँ पर जो फंड मैनेजर्स हैं वो भी काफ़ी जागरूक हैं और अच्छी कंपनी हैं जिनमें गवर्नेंस लेवल्स अच्छे हैं, उनको मार्केट बहुत अच्छे वैल्यूएशंस पे देता है। और आज भी आप देख सकते हैं इस मार्केट में क्वालिटी जो कंपनीज़ हैं वो बहुत ही महंगी हैं और ये एक तरह से इसी बात का नतीजा है कि मार्केट में गवर्नेंस के ऊपर जो उसकी प्राथमिकता है वो काफ़ी बढ़ी हुई है। जहाँ तक एनवायरनमेंट की बात है तो मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि जैसे जैसे सोसाइटी प्रोग्रेस करेगी तो प्रोग्रेस का दूसरा नाम ही एनवायरनमेंट पे इम्पैक्ट है, क्योंकि बगैर एनर्जी के प्रोग्रेस है ही नहीं। और दूसरा प्रोग्रेस का नाम है कंजम्पशन। तो जितना कंजम्पशन बढ़ेगा, जितना एनर्जी कंजम्पशन बढ़ेगा, उतना एनवायरनमेंट पे थोड़ा बहुत इम्पैक्ट तो आएगा ही। लेकिन इसको हमको एक ऐसे नहीं देखना चाहिए कि ऑल कोल इज़ बैड, गैस इज़ गुड, क्योंकि जिस देश के पास जो भी एनर्जी का सोर्स है वो ही वहाँ पे सबसे सस्ती एनर्जी मिलेगी। अब आप कहें कोल को बैन कर दीजिए, अब कोल को बैन कर देंगे तो फिर अगर बिजली की कीमतों में 4 रुपए पर यूनिट बढ़ेगा तो उसको पैसा कौन देगा? तो अगर गरीब आदमी को बिजली ही नहीं मिले तो उसका सोसाइटी का जो इम्पैक्ट है उसको हम इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते। तो हर देश यही कोशिश करता है कि जो एनर्जी है वो लोएस्ट कॉस्ट में उसके नागरिकों को मिले, क्योंकि बगैर एनर्जी के क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ इम्प्रूव कर नहीं सकती। तो मुझे लगता है जहाँ तक कार्बन फुटप्रिंट कम करने की बात है वो अवश्य कम करना चाहिए, लेकिन उसका सही सोल्यूशन टेक्नोलॉजी या टैक्सेशन से या मार्केट फोर्सेस से ही आ सकता है। अगर आप कहें कि ये कोल कंपनी है, इसको आप इन्वेस्ट मत करिए, तो उसमें मुझे लगता नहीं कोई उसका विशेष प्रभाव पर्यावरण पे पड़ेगा। तो अल्टीमेटली जो टेक्नोलॉजी है और जो लॉज ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स हैं उनकी वजह से ही क्लीन एनर्जी को एक एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी आएगी, और जब वो आएगा तो मुझे लगता है उस समय पे जो एनवायरनमेंट का इम्पैक्ट है एक इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट का वो खुद ब खुद कम हो जाएगा। बट तब तक हमको एक बहुत संकुचित दायरे से नहीं इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए कि हम, जैसे कुछ समय पहले लोग कहते थे डिफेंस कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट मत करो। अब डिफेंस, उसका नाम डिफेंस है, वो आप ऑफेंस के लिए नहीं यूज़ करते, लेकिन डिफेंस के लिए सामने वाला आप पे आक्रमण करेगा तो आपके पास हथियार नहीं है तो आप क्या करेंगे? तो इसलिए मेरे ख्याल से जो बहुत रिजिड एक एक्सक्लूशन बेस्ड इन्वेस्टमेंट्स के बीच में दौर चला था वो मेरी समझ में सही नहीं है। और जैसा कि नीलेश जी ने कहा कि हमको एक बहुत प्रैक्टिकल तरीके से ESG को अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए, और हमारे देश की जो सामाजिक आर्थिक व्यवस्था है उसको हम नज़रअंदाज करके इसको एक ब्लाइंडली फॉलो नहीं कर सकते।
पॉइंट वेल टेकन कि हमें अपनी ज़रूरत के हिसाब से ESG को डिफाइन करके वेस्ट को फॉलो नहीं करना है, हमको अपना करना है। बट ESG के अंदर एक जो पॉइंट आता है वो सबसे बड़ा पॉइंट है गवर्नेंस का। और जैसे वॉरेन बफेट ने भी बहुत पहले बोला था कि व्हेन आई लुक एट अ कंपनी टू इन्वेस्ट, फर्स्ट थिंग आई लुक एट इज द इंटेग्रिटी, एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द जेर्नलिज्म, द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल ऑफ द जर्नलिज्म इज इंटेग्रिटी, कि आप एथिकल कंडक्ट जिंदगी के हर पहलू पे करें, हर तरीके पे आप एथिकली। तो जैन साहब, आप जब इन्वेस्टमेंट कंपनी को देखते हैं तो हाउ यू विल डिफाइन द गवर्नेंस इन अ कंपनी और इन अ मैनेजमेंट, एंड इफ यू कैन हेल्प फेलो डेलीगेट्स हियर टू डिसाइड कि किस चीज़ को, किस चश्मे से वो गवर्नेंस को देखे, ताकि वो भी अपना डिसीजन मेकिंग भले वो म्यूचुअल फंड सिलेक्शन में हो या कंपनी सिलेक्शन में हो कर सके।
देखिए, जब हम कोई भी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं तो हमको 2-3 बातों का ख्याल रखना है। पहला तो ये कि उसका बिजनेस कैसा है। जो फर्स्ट क्राइटेरिया है वो सस्टेनेबिलिटी ऑफ बिजनेस, द राइट टू विन ऑफ दैट बिजनेस इन द मार्केट प्लेस। और उसके साथ साथ उतना ही आवश्यक है जो मैनेजमेंट है उसकी कॉम्पिटेंस और इंटेग्रिटी दोनों। और इंटेग्रिटी को जहाँ तक जज करने का सवाल है तो आई थिंक देखिए, रिपोर्ट्स में या जब आप बात करेंगे तो कोई भी ये नहीं कहेगा कि हम कुछ गलत काम करते हैं। तो मैं यही मानता हूँ कि हमको किसी को भी जज करना है, चाहे इन्वेस्टिंग के क्षेत्र में हो या जीवन में हो, तो हमको उसके जज अ मैन बाय हिज एक्शंस। तो इसलिए हम उसके पास्ट एक्शंस को असेस करते हैं कि उसने कंपनीज किस तरह से चलाई, उसके जो कॉरपोरेट गवर्नेंस कैसी थी, उसका कैपिटल एलोकेशन कैसा था। तो और मुझे लगता है कि आज इन्फॉर्मेशन इतनी आसानी से मिलती है कि आज कोई भी चीज़ किसी से छुपाना बहुत मुश्किल है। तो अगर हम थोड़ा सा भी प्रयास करेंगे तो हमको किसी भी मैनेजमेंट के बारे में, उसकी जो कॉरपोरेट गवर्नेंस की पॉलिसीज़ हैं, इंटेग्रिटी है, उसके बारे में एक काफ़ी हद तक सही अंदाज़ा लगाने में कोई मुश्किल नहीं।
नीरज भाई, coming to you, see, we have seen mutual fund industry growing almost to now 45 lakh crores or 50 lakh crores from 2 lakh, 3 lakh 2 decades back. म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री का दो काम है। एक तो इन्वेस्टर्स, वन साइड यू हैव द इन्वेस्टर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू मेक रिटर्न्स फॉर द इन्वेस्टर्स, एंड सेकंड साइड यू हैव अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टुवर्ड्स द इन्वेस्टिंग कंपनीज और द इन्वेस्टिंग मैनेजमेंट टू मेक देम रिस्पॉन्सिबल। आपको लगता है कि इस साइज पे आने के बाद इंडियन म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्रीज या डोमेस्टिक इन्वेस्टर्स उस स्टेज पे आए हैं कि वो मैनेजमेंट की कंडक्ट को थोड़ा सा गाइड कर सके, थोड़ा सा उनको रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नेंस ESG की तरफ मोड़ सके, या इट हैज़ टू बी टेकन फ्रॉम देम रादर देन ड्राइविंग देम टुवर्ड्स द ESG?
सो मेरे साथ प्रशांत भाई बैठे हैं, एक बहुत बड़े इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट है जिन्होंने अपनी आत्मकथा में लिखा है कि उन्होंने प्रशांत भाई की सीख अपना के अपने बिजनेस में स्ट्रेटेजिक इनपुट्स लेके इतना ग्रो किया।
ओ मारा,
ये हमारे जैन कम्युनिटी के लीडर कई सालों से ये कर रहे हैं, एंड जो ये कर रहे हैं वो हमारे सब के लिए मिसाल बन जाती है, हम भी उनको कॉपी करने की कोशिश करते हैं।
Oh, Mara. No, so there is no doubt that the governance always wins the returns for the investors. Jain Saab, you are the inspiration for many investors in country, there is no doubt, and same for the, Nilesh Bhai, that people do look upon you guys to see how they should be looking at the investment world rather than looking at the short-term returns. So I don't think there is any oversight in that. Coming to you, Anupji, see, you are from a multilateral development agency who from the decades looking at the sustainability as a key criteria for the investment, and your motto is to elevate the, or to elevate the poverty, and by elevating the poverty, driving the sustainability and the good conduct. So, and when I come to Jainism, in Jainism, it's been said that for a Jain follower of the Sravak, there are 15 karmas which are banned for him, or it's not something which should be done, like which include the unethical work, which includes the ahimsa, जैसे एग्रीकल्चर डिफॉरेस्टेशन का काम हुआ, एनिमल हस्बेंड्री हुआ जहाँ पर आप उनको मारे कत्ल खानों का काम हुआ, माइनिंग का काम हुआ, सीड्स को से तेल निकालने का काम हुआ. In a way, this 15 karmadam is nothing but the living a life towards the sustainability and living a life in the harmony with the nature without doing much of the investment. So how do you see the principles of Jainism in terms of those and the new modern ESG environmental sustainability rules? Is there any gap between these two, or is they are coinciding towards the same goal?
सबसे पहले द वे आई वुड स्टार्ट, आप सबको कितनी गर्मी लग रही है आज? थोड़ा अनयूजुअली ज़्यादा गर्मी लग रही है या? और इमेजिन करिए ये जो भी आज की जो परिस्थिति है, शायद 40-50 साल पहले ऐसा अनुभव नहीं होता, हम ऐसे बैठे होते. तो कुछ तो हुआ है ऐसा पिछले 40-50 साल में जिसकी वजह से आज हमें ऐसी गर्मी महसूस करनी पड़ रही है. और अगर ऐसे ही सब चलता रहा तो 10 साल बाद जब अपने ऐसे बैठेंगे तो शायद परिस्थिति और ख़राब होगी. और हम सब चाहते हैं कि वी वांट टू लीड अ गुड लाइफ, हेल्दी लाइफ, एंड वी वांट आवर नेक्स्ट जनरेशन आल्सो टू लीड अ हेल्दी लाइफ. सो वी हैव सम रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. सबसे पहले वी विल हैव टू एक्सेप्ट कि समथिंग इज़ गोइंग रॉन्ग, कहीं तो कुछ गलत हो रहा है जिसकी वजह से हम इस परिस्थिति में हैं. मैं एक घटना पहले बताऊंगा, फिर उसके बाद और आप सब रिलेट करेंगे. जैसे हो सकता है कई लोग 2 व्हीलर चलाते हों और मान लीजिए दादर ब्रिज पे खड़े हैं और सामने एक गाड़ी खड़ी है और खूब धुआं छोड़ रही है. कैसा महसूस होता है हम सबको? तब गुस्सा आता है ना उसके ऊपर में कि अरे ये क्या है, मतलब कंप्लायंस वाला कंप्लायंस का काम नहीं करता, गाड़ी का ओनर इज़ नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल. So something is going wrong somewhere, right? And we all here in this room are somewhere responsible and we have to play a role. That's first key part. Now, other important part that I would want to mention कि IFC जो approach follow करता है वो है ट्रिपल बॉटम लाइन अप्रोच. तो और कई वर्षों से कर रहा है. तो हम वो सब जगह कैपिटल एलोकेट नहीं करते जो हमें लगता है कि शायद एनवायरनमेंट के लिए और समाज के लिए, सोसाइटी के लिए, लोगों के लिए अच्छा ना हो. और ये कई वर्षों से करते आ रहे हैं. तो व्हाट हैपेंस इन द प्रोसेस, मैं थोड़ा मिक्स्ड यूज़ कर रहा हूँ, सॉरी मैं पूरे हिंदी में नहीं बोल पा रहा। उसके वजह से हो सकता है कि हमें बहुत हाई रिटर्न वाले प्रोजेक्ट्स छोड़ देने पड़ते।
You can talk in English because most of them are professionals, so they
Okay,
can.
okay.
They are okay with
That,
that.
that's okay. I'm comfortable. So we have to leave lot of projects, right, which would be highly profitable. Why? Because we have certain mission. We just want to ensure that environmental and social standards are followed and developed. And it's very important whether it is here in India or somewhere else, if we don't follow, planet तो अपने आप को reconcile कर लेता है, but जो लोग इसके अंदर रह रहे हैं वो reconcile नहीं कर सकते, मतलब हमें तो सफ़र करना पड़ेगा। You know, I was watching outside the window, तो I found some construction work was going on, तो उन्होंने आधा कंक्रीट करके छोड़ दिया था, आधा मिट्टी के फॉर्म में था। 6 महीने बाद देखता हूँ जो मिट्टी वाला पार्ट है वहाँ पे बुशेज उगाई हैं, बट जो सीमेंटेड पार्ट है वो नहीं, वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं हुआ। तो प्लैनेट अपने आप को ठीक कर लेता है। अब आपने जो प्रश्न पूछा, हमारे महापुरुष जो थे वो पहले से ही मतलब बहुत दूरदर्शी थे, ये तो हमें मानना पड़ेगा। मतलब दे कुड सी दैट व्हाट ऑल इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी डन टू एंश्योर दैट द सोसाइटी इज सस्टेनेबल। बहुत सारी सिमिलैरिटीज है बिटवीन हम जो प्रैक्टिसेस फॉलो करते हैं और जो जैन धर्म में कहा जाता है। आई डोंट वांट टू गो इनटू स्पेसिफिक्स। तो जैसे उदाहरण के तौर पे ले लें, मान लीजिए गैम्बलिंग या अल्कोहल या यू नो गोइंग फॉर बैंड ड्रग्स, डूइंग एनी टाइप ऑफ इलीगल एक्टिविटी, तो ये सारे डिस्करेज्ड हैं एंड विच इज़ वेरी नेचुरल, राइट। सो की पॉइंट ये है, बिकॉज द ओवरऑल थीम इज इन्वेस्टिंग और फंड मैनेजमेंट, कैपिटल एलोकेशन किधर होना चाहिए सो दैट 10 years डाउन द लाइन वी डोंट फेस द प्रॉब्लम दैट वी आर फेसिंग टुडे। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much. Coming to Amit ji, you know, who is looking at, you know, a lot of private equity funds, you know, new age fund. How you will guide audience towards a sustainable, how you will guide audience towards the, you know, ethical and sustainable investing, not only in the capital market but also on their businesses.
यहाँ सब PhD बैठे हैं, आप सबसे जो छोटा है उसको सबसे डिफ़िकल्ट क्वेश्चन इतने सरल रूप से पूछ रहे हैं कि बस हाउ विल यू डू इट। ये थोड़ी ज़्यादती है, बट इट इज़ लाइक आस्किंग कि हाउ टू लीड अ हेल्दी एंड लॉन्ग लाइफ। सो वी ऑल नो द आंसर। It can, one I can give you a convenient answer for the speaker and one for the audience. So convenient answer for the speaker would be कि eat right, sleep well, exercise daily and handle stress with positivity. But ये हम सबको पता है, इसको बोल के कोई फायदा हो रहा नहीं है।
But Amit ji, everybody is looking for the health of portfolio today.
No, I'm coming to it. I'm coming to it, just on a lighter note. So I think and most of the things already the co-panelists have already spoken about, but I will just try to summarize in my little way, because I am fortunate to be wearing both the hats. We are also sort of investing sometimes and also running businesses for the last 100 years. So we are in that unique position, if I can say, on being both sides. We are fortunate to have taken money from IFC and also had the chance to invest in Prashant Bhai and Nilesh Bhai, etc. So I think it has to be very contextual. We have to be empathetic कि भाई this is not a binary situation कि you come out and say coal is bad, this is good, this is bad. Yes, it is bad. No one is saying no. I don't think Prashant Bhai says it should be only pushed and nothing else should be done. But you have to face the reality कि what is the reality and context of the day. You cannot switch off one thing and switch on another thing. And it also depends what hat you are wearing. So for example, we've been using coal also, but fortunately for the last 30 years, all our tea factories have been running on 100% renewable energy also. We were fortunate to be able to take that step. It might have looked a little less return on that day, but over a long period, it also pays off. So my suggestion is, when we are investing, two people have the power to change the overall thing, customers and investors. So as an investor, if we allocate capital in the right way, allocating capital in the right way may not completely mean that don't allocate a single rupee from tomorrow morning to the other things. But have a roadmap where, depending on the nature of capital, like IFC is privileged, they are putting return second and impact first. Unfortunately, both Prashant Bhai and Nilesh Bhai don't have that luxury until unless we all as investors give them that mandate that I don't want returns as much. So we have to be contextual. It's easy to paint one in black and another in white. That will not work because transition cannot happen overnight. We have seen the example in the case of sustainable agriculture. We all know today one of the major problems in the world, which is also contributing to climate change, is the food supply chain. It seems as the least, perception-wise, it's the least harmful. We find a 200-acre farm of sugarcane and we feel it is beautiful and nature-friendly. It unfortunately is not as nature-friendly and as nice as it looks, because we are doing monocropping, we are not doing multi-cropping. That itself is against nature. Now the perception versus reality is very different. In that field, you are putting substantially more harmful chemicals and fertilizers, which has been subsidized by our tax-paid money, without the farmer also knowing, and that is polluting the entire soil and water for years to come.
Correct.
So I think it starts from us. We have to see the context. Sri Lanka tried to do the food supply chain. They tried to make the entire country organic overnight. It failed. It was a very well-intended thing, but it was executed very poorly. So I think as investors, we may also have buckets of investment. We may have a private equity capital, we may have a listed equity thing, we may have a debt portfolio. So we can choose to allocate where we want. Some may be impact investments also, where we are saying we are okay with a lesser return, but we want impact first. So that's where I think I'll pause now, because I can go on, because on our side we are also trying to do sustainability as well. But I'll pause for now.
You rightly said that ultimately the sustainability and the way the capital allocation goes drive the thing. But जब ethics की बात आती है और investment की बात आती है, तो I think one tall figure in the industry is Prashant ji, who no one can accuse. There are so many practices which happens in the capital market, and we all, being a lot of chartered accountant here, we all know that what happens over here in the industries. But no one can raise a finger on the Prashant bhai. So Prashant ji, मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि आपने इन्वेस्टर के लिए बहुत अच्छा रिटर्न्स बनाया, कुछ गुरु मंत्र, कुछ 3-4, मैं टिप नहीं बोलूँगा क्योंकि I believe that tip is always for the waiters and drivers and not for the investors. But if you can give some guru mantras कि how you can drive the investment returns without compromising on your ethics, I think that will help audience in a big way.
नहीं देखिए, ethics for an investor, ethics is there is no conflict, because अगर आप अपना पैसा कोई शेयर में खरीद रहे हैं तो उसमें कोई ethics वाली ऐसी कोई मेरे ख्याल से बात नहीं है. When you are managing someone else's money, तब एक conflict की situation आती है, और वो हमको सबको मालूम है कि हमको क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है.
नहीं प्रशांत भाई, वो उस तरह से बोलता था कि बहुत से लोग बोलते हैं कि हमको इनसाइडर इन्फॉर्मेशन है, उस पर हम पैसा बनाएंगे. बट आई हैव सीन इन माय एक्सपीरियंस एंड व्हाटएवर आई रेड फ्रॉम द हिस्ट्री ऑफ एनी इनसाइडर ट्रेडर्स और मोस्ट ऑफ द ऑपरेटर्स, 90% ऑफ देम इवेंचुअली फेल्स. सो फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव इन्वेस्टर्स ट्राई टू लुक एट द शॉर्ट टर्म गेन एंड विल फॉरगेट द लॉन्ग टर्म गेन.
नहीं देखिए, वो आपने बात सही कही कि अगर हम अपना पैसा खुद का भी इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं और हमको इनसाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल गई है, तो मेरे ख्याल से एथिक्स कहती है कि हमको उसमें पार्टिसिपेट नहीं करना चाहिए. और अगर हम किसी मैनेजमेंट को मिलते हैं तो हमारा प्रयास रहता है कि मिलने के काफ़ी समय बाद तक हम उस शेयर में ट्रेड ही नहीं करेंगे. तो वो एक सेल्फ इम्पोज्ड डिसिप्लिन है. तो मेरे ख्याल से ये गलत धारणा है लोगों की कि शेयर बाज़ार में आप क्विक रिटर्न्स इनसाइड इन्फॉर्मेशन से बना सकते हैं. एक तो वो गलत है, और दूसरा ये वास्तविकता नहीं है. देखिए, हो सकता है आपको 1-2 बार पैसा बन भी जाए, लेकिन अगर आपका 30 साल का इन्वेस्टमेंट का जर्नी है तो आपको जो रियल रिटर्न आने वाला है वो आपको सही समझ, डिसिप्लिन और पेशेंस से ही आने वाला है. और शेयर बाज़ार एक ऐसी चीज़ है कि इसको अगर हम सही समझ रख लें और पेशेंस रखें तो इसमें समय के साथ आपकी अपेक्षा से बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा बनता है. देखिए, सेंसेक्स 100 का था 79 में, आज 66,000 का हो गया. तो 660 गुना पैसा केवल सेंसेक्स ने ही आपको दे दिया, और उसमें टैक्स भी बहुत कम है, केवल 10%. तो आई थिंक शेयर बाज़ार में बहुत पैसा बनता है, लेकिन हमको इस कुछ बातों का ख्याल रखना चाहिए कि हम पहली बात ऐसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करें जिसका बिज़नेस हमको विश्वास है कि ये कंपेरेटिव है, ग्रो करेगा, कंपनी बंद नहीं होगी, इट इज़ वेल मैनेज्ड। दूसरा, हमको उसके प्राइस पे विशेष ध्यान देना चाहिए। आप अच्छी से अच्छी कंपनी अगर बहुत महंगे पे ख़रीद लेंगे तो लंबे समय में उसमें रिटर्न नहीं आता है। तो इसमें दो ही चीज़ें हैं, सही क्वालिटी हो और दाम बहुत महंगा नहीं हो। अच्छा दाम आपको ख़राब समय में ही मिलता है, जब बिज़नेस या मार्केट या इकोनॉमी ख़राब दौर से गुजर रही है तभी आपको कोई चीज़ सस्ती मिलेगी। तो मेरा यही मानना है कि अगर हम इन दो बातों का ख्याल रखेंगे कि हमको गलत कंपनी किसी भी दाम पे नहीं खरीदनी है और अच्छी कंपनी बहुत गलत दाम पे नहीं खरीदनी है, पोर्टफोलियो को डाइवर्सिफाइड रखेंगे और पेशेंस रखेंगे, तो शेयर बाज़ार में मेरे ख्याल से समय के साथ आपकी अपेक्षा से बहुत ज़्यादा रिटर्न इसमें आता है।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। नीलेश भाई, सी हियर पीपल इन्वेस्ट आइदर डायरेक्टली इनटू द इक्विटी और एज इन mutual funds are so big an industry or PMS or other vehicles, and your job as a managing director is to search for the good portfolio manager who can deliver the extraordinary returns. So अगर आप कुछ गुरु मंत्र दे सकें इस ऑडियंस को, where they can also select good portfolio managers, how, what mantras you will tell them to select the good portfolio managers, whether it's equity or debt? What do you look at the portfolio managers when you select them in your team?
So फंड मैनेजमेंट ये टेनिस जैसी मैच नहीं है कि एक आदमी खेल सके, ये क्रिकेट जैसी गेम है। इसमें बुमराह भी चाहिए, कोहली भी चाहिए, विकेट के पीछे केएल राहुल भी चाहिए। अगर आपके पास ये सारे साथ में होंगे तो आप सक्सेसफुल बनेंगे। आज प्रशांत भाई है तो उनके पीछे लोग खड़े हैं ना। हम लोग यहाँ पे बैठे हैं तो कोई ऑफिस में बैठ के काम कर रहा है इसलिए हम यहाँ पे बैठे हैं। तो इंडिविजुअल प्लेयर नहीं, टीम को देखिए, वो टीम कैसे परफॉर्म कर पाएगी। हम जब किसी आदमी को लेने की कोशिश करते हैं तो पहले देखते हैं उसकी इंटीग्रिटी क्या है, उससे बात करो तो पता चलता है, बाज़ार में दो लोगों से पूछो तो पता चलता है, उसे लेने के बाद ऑब्जर्व करो तो पता चलता है। दूसरा, उसकी वैल्यूज़ क्या है, टीम प्लेयर है, इंडिविजुअल प्लेयर है। अगर इंडिविजुअल प्लेयर है तो हम जाने देते हैं, टीम प्लेयर है तो अपना लेते हैं। एंड फाइनली उसकी प्रोफेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन या टेक्निकल नॉलेज भी चाहिए। सो वैल्यूज़, इंटीग्रिटी एंड नॉलेज, ये तीनों का समन्वय करा के एक ऐसी टीम बनाते हैं जो मैच जीत के वापस आए।
बराबर है। और आज तो अहमदाबाद में आई थिंक वर्ल्ड कप का सबसे फाइनल मैच तो जब होगा तब होगा, पर सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग मैच तो आज अहमदाबाद में हो रहा है। और उसमें आपने जब बताया कि इन्वेस्टमेंट इज आल्सो नॉट ए इंडिविजुअल गेम, इट्स ए टीम गेम, तो आई थिंक वेरी वैलिड इन दैट टर्म। अनूप जी, मेरे को मालूम है कि आपका बाहर का फ्लाइट है, आपको जाना था। वी आर जस्ट क्लोजिंग इन फ्यू मिनट्स, बट व्हेन यू लुक एट द न्यू एज कंपनीज and the promoters who don't have experience, when Prashant Jain is evaluating at Tata companies, he have a history of 100 years to evaluate ki how that group and the management have done. But when you investing in a new age 20-year, 25-year-old guy, what is that you look at into that in terms of the ethics, in terms of the performance, in terms of his capability?
देखिए, जो बेसिक प्रिंसिपल्स इन्होंने शेयर किया वो चेंज नहीं होता है, बट एस्टैब्लिश्ड कंपनीज वर्सेस स्टार्टअप्स, उसमें देखने का तरीका थोड़ा डिफरेंट होता है। क्योंकि स्टार्टअप्स के केस में कोई ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड नहीं है, उन्होंने कोई फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस नहीं किया, कोई P&L बैलेंस शीट नहीं है। इनफैक्ट हो सकता है अगले 2-3 साल तक वो काफ़ी पैसा बर्न करने वाले हैं, राइट। तो वहाँ पे सबसे पहला चीज़ आता है कि वो क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, और वो प्रॉब्लम जो सॉल्व करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं उसके लिए उन्होंने जो प्रोडक्ट बनाया है वो प्रोडक्ट बनाया है कि नहीं बनाया है। जब प्रोडक्ट बन गया उसके बाद में उन्होंने लॉन्च किया है, लोगों में कितनी एक्सेप्टेंस है। फाइनली इस तरह से बातें देखते देखते यू एंड अप मतलब आप ये कोशिश करते हैं अंदाज़ा लगाने की अच्छा 4-5 साल बाद ये कंपनी कितनी बड़ी हो सकती है। ये तो हुआ स्केल की बात। फिर दूसरी बात है कि भाई ये पैसे में प्रॉफिट, मतलब बिजनेस में प्रॉफिट कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते। शुरू में नहीं करेंगे लेकिन बाद में प्रॉफिट कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते हैं, वो देखने की कोशिश होती है। ये सब देखते देखते ये देखिए, मैंने लास्ट जैसे 2-3 साल में मैं 300 कंपनी से मिला, उसमें से 5 कंपनी चूज़ की। तो ये एक फनल अप्रोच होता है, आप कई बार मिलते हो लोगों से, मिलके फिर आप व्यूज़ बनाते हो। और बहुत बड़ी फैक्टर इसमें ये होती है कि जो लोग आपस में काम कर रहे हैं, जैसे इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा उदाहरण क्रिकेट का दिया, उनमें तालमेल क्या है, वो क्या कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री रोल प्ले कर रहे हैं। और मेरा अपना अनुभव जो भी मैंने 15 साल इन्वेस्टिंग किया उसमें देखा, जब टीम सॉलिड होती है, मतलब दिन में तो एकदम रगड़ के काम कर रहे हैं और रात को फिर एक दोस्त की तरह साथ में बैठ सकते हैं, वो लोग बहुत सफलता का उनका चांस बहुत हाई होता है। तो इस तरह से बहुत सारी फैक्टर्स हैं, लेकिन इंटीग्रिटी तो अनक्वेश्चनेबल है, मतलब वो तो आप डिनाई नहीं कर सकते, वो तो चाहिए ही। कहीं पे भी अगर वहाँ प्रश्न चिन्ह आ जाता है तो फिर वो आउट हो जाता है इक्वेशन से।
आई थिंक ऑल द पैनलिस्ट है, जो हम मारवाड़ी में बोलते हैं, मैन, आदमी, मटेरियल और माल, प्रॉफिट, ये 3 चीज़ जो है, आप तीनों का एम्फेसिस ये था कि चलाने वाला आदमी मैन कैसा है, मटेरियल जो बना रहा है वो चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा वो कैसा है, और इवेंचुअली माल बनाएगा कि नहीं बनाएगा, पैसा बनाएगा कंपनी तो शायद इन्वेस्टर भी पैसा बनाएगी। तो ये 3M, आई डोंट नो व्हाट द P3 means, but the 3M will certainly make money. Now with this I open the floor for the questions from the audience. If anyone have any questions, please take a mic and ask the question, or you can come on the front and ask. आप आगे आके पूछ लीजिए तो सबको सुनाई देगा।
I'm sure, thank you for your presence. I'm sure आप लोगों ने भी कभी ये क्वेश्चन सोचा होगा, but I've always had this, opposing thoughts. Can GDP growth and saving the environment, can they actually coexist? Because I'll give you a small example. For GDP growth, we need consumption, we need people to buy more and more stuff. Buying anything, at the end of the day, you are generating carbon emission. By taking a simple walk, by using anything, you are generating carbon emission. Can these really coexist? That's my question.
सी कोएग्जिस्ट हो सकता है। ये जिस तरीके से प्रोडक्शन होता है या सर्विसेज ऑफर होती हैं, अगर उसके तरीके में कुछ बदलाव आता है तो ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम कोएग्जिस्ट हो सकता है। कैलिब्रेटेड वे में करना होगा। आज अगर हम इन द टाइम देखेंगे तो हमें लगेगा यार कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है या थोड़ा बहुत दिख रहा है। मतलब आज से 10 साल पीछे चले जाएं तो ईवी तो एक ड्रीम था, मतलब हम इमेजिन भी नहीं कर सकते थे अच्छा ईवी आ सकता है, बट आज आ गया ईवी, राइट। इसी तरीके से बहुत सारी चीज़ों में, जैसे आप सोलर टॉप्स, रूफ टॉप्स, राइट, ये भी इमेजिनेशन के बाहर था बट आया है। तो बहुत सारे परिवर्तन आ रहे हैं और मोस्ट इंटरेस्टिंग बात ये है कि इंडिया में और पूरे विश्व में ही स्टार्टअप का माहौल इतना तगड़ा है कि यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स एंड रिसर्चर्स, दे आर रियली एक्साइटेड टू कम अप विद टेक्नोलॉजीज विच कैन मेक अ डिफरेंस। तो मैं ये नहीं कहता कि ये ओवरनाइट हो जाएगा, ये एक कैलिब्रेटेड वे में होगा। तो ये एक जर्नी है। की पॉइंट ये है कि हमको अपने मन में पहले ये धारणा करनी होगी कि भाई ये ज़रूरी है, फिर उसका रास्ता निकलेगा। आप भी अगर देखोगे, आप अपने फाइनेंस को मैनेज करते हो, सेविंग्स और ग्रोथ, इन्वेस्टमेंट ग्रोथ, तो वहाँ पे एक बैलेंस होता है। थोड़ा सेविंग होता है, फिर आप इन्वेस्ट करते हो, फिर थोड़ी कमाई होती है, फिर और इन्वेस्ट करते हो, फिर वो कमाई बढ़ती है। तो ये एक स्टेप बाय स्टेप चलता है ये चीज़।
एक्चुअली खाली इसमें एक ही चीज़ ऐड करूँगा कि थोड़ा अपने 10 साल नहीं 200-400 साल पीछे जाएं तो मेरे ख्याल से सब कुछ ठीक ही था। ये लास्ट 100 ईयर्स में अपने थोड़ा स्क्रू अप किया। आवर वे ऑफ लाइफ हैज़ टू चेंज। We will not compromise on cost and convenience, but the world has existed for few thousands of years. Only in the last few years it has accentuated and we have changed our way of life for so bad, specifically after World War II, that the problem has become really very grave. If we just undo some of the things and also adopt some of the technology that is available today to our use and not misuse and over excessive use, then I think over a period of time, it will take some time, like a clutch and accelerator, where you will press the accelerator and release the clutch and then we will be back. But if we don't do that, I think then we are in for a trouble. That's my only.
जो आपने कहा कि वॉरेन बफेट कहता है फंड मैनेजर से दूर रहिए, दिस इज हैज़ रिटर्न इन हिज बुक। तो इसलिए मुझे जब वॉरेन बफेट की बात मानूं या मैं आपकी बात मानूं, मुझे सबसे, लेकिन मैं एक बात जो आपने कही वो बिल्कुल वॉरेन बफेट ने अपनी किताब में लिखा है कि अच्छे स्टॉक लीजिए, लंबे समय के लिए लीजिए, अच्छी क्वांटिटी में लीजिए और सो जाइए, तब आपको पैसा बनेगा। शेयर मार्केट में बहुत अच्छा पैसा बनता है, मैंने बनाया है इस मार्केट से। लोग 40 साल का इन्वेस्टर हूँ मैं, मेरी इन्वेस्टर की जर्नी बहुत लंबी है, 1980 से लेकर आज 2023 हो चुका है, लगभग 43 साल की इस इन्वेस्टर की जर्नी है। मैंने 200 रुपये लगाए, आज 1-1 करोड़ रुपए हैं लगभग कई कंपनियों में। तो मैं आपसे निवेदन कर रहा हूँ कि वॉरेन बफेट ने कहा, जो आपने कहा वो बिल्कुल डीटो बातें हैं कि अच्छा स्टॉक करिए और जब वो टूट जाए, जब मार्केट में क्रैश हो, जब उसको खरीदिएगा। हाई प्राइस में खरीदेंगे तो आपका पैसा नहीं बनेगा। 2-3 साल तो वैसे ही वो प्राइस, अभी BSE 1500 हो गया 1000 से लेकर, केवल 2 महीने में BSE हो गया।
अंकल जी, तो मैं नीलेश भाई से एक क्वेश्चन
एक ही बात पूछ रहा हूँ सर, मैं दूसरी बात पूछूंगा भी नहीं, मैं एक बात पूछने आया हूँ। मैं इतनी ही कह रहा हूँ कि सब इन्वेस्टर को जो है फंड मैनेजर से दूर रहिए। क्या आप इस बात से सहमत है? दूसरी बात पूछ लेता हूँ मैं आपसे, वो ये है कि मैं राजस्थान से आया हूँ और राजस्थान के अंदर ये लॉ है कि एक मीणा अपनी ज़मीन को, एग्रीकल्चर ज़मीन को मीणा ही बेच सकता है। उससे बहुत बड़ी तकलीफ हो रही है उन लोगों को, क्योंकि मीणा पैसे वाले होते नहीं, बनिया के पास पैसा होता है, बनिया उसको खरीद नहीं सकता। आपने भी कहा ना, सोशल के माइनर है या वो 5 बच्चों को पेट पाल रहा है और उसको नौकरी पे हम नहीं रखें तो उसके 500 बच्चे के रोटी नहीं आएगी। तो ऐसी सूरत में क्या कानून बनाया जाए या क्या सजेशन दे जाएंगे? क्यों कानून ऐसा टफ है कि मीणा की ज़मीन, एग्रीकल्चर ज़मीन केवल मीणा ही खरीद सकता और मीणाओं के पास पैसा होता नहीं, वो बेच नहीं सकता। उसकी लड़की की शादी करनी है, उसको इलाज कराना है, लेकिन वो करा नहीं पा रहा है क्योंकि वो बेचने में सक्षम नहीं है, क्योंकि जिसके पास पैसा है वो खरीद नहीं सकता, जिसके पास पैसा।
आई थिंक अंकल जी आपकी बात,
ये दोनों सवालों का जवाब मैं आपसे उम्मीद कर रहा हूँ।
सो अंकल जी, आपने वॉरेन बफेट को गलत समझा है। उन्होंने ये कहा आप एक्टिव फंड में निवेश मत करिए, पैसिव फंड में निवेश करिए। वो फंड की बात कर रहा था, आप फंड मैनेजर की बात समझ बैठे। सेकंड चीज, आपने कहा कि आपने 200 रुपये के 1 करोड़ कर दिए, तो आपने सही तरीके से निवेश किया होगा, तो आपको कोई फंड मैनेजर की ज़रूरत नहीं है। बट आपके बाजू में जो बैठे उन्होंने 1 करोड़ के 200 रुपये किए हैं। 18 करोड़ भारतीय जिन्होंने क्रिप्टो में ट्रेडिंग करके नुकसान किया है। अब यहाँ पे तो सब बहुत समझदार लोग हैं, तो क्रिप्टो में ट्रेडिंग नहीं की होगी। 10 करोड़ भारतीय ऐसे जिन्होंने गेमिंग में पैसा खोया है, रमी, पोकर, ड्रीम 11 सब खेल चुके हैं। 7 करोड़ भारतीय ऐसे जो FNO में ट्रेडिंग में लॉस करते हैं, और जो FNO ट्रेडिंग में लॉस नहीं करते वो कैलाश प्लाजा घाटकोपर में बैठते हैं। ये सब घाटकोपर वाले हैं। तो जिसकी समझ है, समय दे सकता है। एंड अंकल जी, आपके भी मतलब 200 के 5000 हुए होंगे, फिर 1000 हो गया होगा, फिर 1000 का 10 लाख हुआ होगा, फिर 5 लाख हो गया। आपने वो सारे पेन सहन किए। कितने लोगों में आपके जैसी क्षमता है? जो लोग ये पेन सहन नहीं कर सकते, उन्हें डायरेक्टली इन्वेस्टमेंट में नहीं जाना चाहिए। जो सही तरीके से निवेश करे, उसे फंड मैनेजर की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है, वो खुद ही निवेश करे, वो अच्छा पैसा बना पाएगा। मैं तो डबल डेकर बस चलाता हूँ, बिकॉज इतने सारे निवेशक आते हैं, लिक्विडिटी देखनी पड़ती है। मुझे मार्केट से थोड़ा ज़्यादा रिटर्न मिल जाए, मैं खुश हूँ। आप तो फरारी भी चला सकते, बिकॉज आप इंडिविजुअली ज़्यादा रिस्क लेंगे तो ज़्यादा रिटर्न बन पाएगा। तो समझ है, समय है, तो फंड मैनेजर को रखिए मत। समझ नहीं है, समय नहीं है, तो फिर फंड मैनेजर का लाभ उठाइए।
बहुत सुंदर। एनीवन एल्स? Yeah, I think that was the last question. So thanks again, everybody. It is a panel full of all the dominating, or I will say that gurus of industries. So thank you very much, Nilesh ji, Prashant ji, Amit bhai. Over to you, Kamlesh ji.
So value, integrity and knowledge. These are the 3 points which are successful for not only for individuals but also for organizations. ये हमने पैनल में समझा point. And second point is that ethical standards have to be followed and there should not be any short-sightedness for those things. तो मैं सभी पैनलिस्ट का, सभी स्पीकर्स एंड मॉडरेटर का हमारे इस सेशन के लिए तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करता हूँ. तेरापंथ प्रोफेशनल फोरम की ओर से सभी स्पीकर्स का धन्यवाद. और being the last session of this conference, मैं इस वेन्यू के लिए सबसे पहले मैं ब्लेसिंग्स ऑफ गुरुदेव के प्रति कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करता हूँ. और हमारे स्पिरिचुअल मेंटर गाइड रजनीश कुमार जी स्वामी, उनका मैं बहुत मार्गदर्शन मिला. हमारी पूरी नेशनल टीम, पंकज जी ओसवाल एंड नेशनल टीम जिन्होंने हमें गाइड किया, एंड लोकल मनीष जी कोठारी, हमारे संयोजक विनोद जी कोठारी, एंड हमारे सारे वॉलंटियर्स जिन्होंने लास्ट लगभग 15 से 20 दिनों का इसमें श्रम अर्जित किया है. सारे स्पीकर्स, वक्ता, पैनलिस्ट इस कार्यक्रम में पधारे, उनके लिए भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और आभार. अंत में आप सभी व्यक्ति, सभी डेलीगेट्स, फेलो डेलीगेट्स जो शाम तक बैठे हैं, गरबा का मौसम शुरू होने वाला है और आज वर्ल्ड कप का भी मैच था, बट स्टिल ऑल दिस पीपल हैव इन्वेस्टेड द टाइम फॉर द टुडेज कॉन्फ्रेंस. उन सभी के लिए भी बहुत बहुत आभार, धन्यवाद. ओम आराम. अभी डिनर की व्यवस्था है और सनसेट के पहले भी और बाद में अप टू 7 o'clock डिनर चलेगा. मैं सभी प्रतिभागियों से निवेदन करूंगा कि वे शाम का भोजन लेके पधारें. ओम आराम. जय जिनेंद्र.